watching the stream, there's two ways to watch this. The first is on Twitch, like normal. The second is to join the Discord channel, the Dominion Discord channel. There's a link. Should be a link. There should be a link somewhere for the main Dominion Discord channel. You can ask people in chat and they'll give it to you. And then you go down on the left and there's a voice channel section and join the mod stream chat. And that will be real time, so no delay. And then you can spectate the match on Dominion Online. And it looks like we have maybe 10 or 15 people doing that right now.
If you want to see the fancy scoreboard, it's on the stream, though.
Yeah.
I worked really hard on it.
Deadlock made this amazing scoreboard, so I would recommend doing both. You know, got to get the full experience.
That's right. 2 monitors. Spectate on one, watch the stream on the other, and mute something.
Mm-hmm. All right, so Cutups is asking if we're going to review what the cards do before the matches start, or is it assumed that the audience knows? We're mostly going to go over what cards are most important and sort of like in context what they do. I'd recommend looking those cards up on something like the wiki, like the Dominion Strategy wiki, just like Google them, see what they do, and pick it up card by card. We're going to be focusing mostly on the strategy that the players are using. Okay, so it looks like DG. Let's see. Is there any way we can reach DG? I'm not
sure.
seeing him. So right now it looks like Mick is trying to track down DG.
Yeah, so we've got...
Yeah, so maybe we can talk about this being the first... I think this is the first set of league matches played on the 2017 client.
This is the first match. Well, actually, we had a few matches that did not get done, and I believe they completed them after the new year. So this is not the first, technically the very first league match that played on the new client, but it's the first non-late, except it's kind of late, but we decided to do this intentionally.
So...
match.
Yeah, so how do you think playing matches on 2017 versus making fun changes the dynamics of the games?
I have not played enough matches on 2017 yet because I've been on vacation for most of the year.
Oh, nice.
I did play some in the beta quite a while ago, but at that point we were just trying to find card bugs as fast as possible. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, maybe I can chime in then. So there's a couple things different on the new client. I'd say one of the biggest ones is black market. Like black market, there's 60 cards in the black market deck instead of 25. And overall, it makes it much stronger in that, you know, there's more cards for you to find. You don't know what those cards are in advance. And with the addition of the new cards in the base set and Intrigue, you're taking out some of the weaker cards and adding in stronger cards. Same thing with Empires. So Black Market's a lot stronger. That's one difference. Also, with the addition of Empires, you get landmarks in the games, which means that there tends to be more alt VP, so games go longer, more engine games. And also base set and Intrigue, the worst 6 cards in those sets got replaced by 7 new cards. So the ratio of new cards to old cards has gone way up, and that means, and there's more alt VP from landmarks, so it really pushes games toward these longer alt VP engine games generally.
Mm-hmm. That is, yeah, Empires is going to be probably the biggest effect on the game. And
Yeah, Empires is big.
it appears our competitors are here now, so I presume they will be getting started momentarily. We'll get our
Yeah.
first board showing up.
So, yeah, so we have DG here, who's leading the lead with 20 wins versus Mick, who is 18. Mick needs a 4-2 to take down season 18 of the league. Mick is one of the two players to have won the league for the first 17 seasons. And he's a bit of an underdog here, so let's see if he can pull this one out.
Yep, so DG will need 2.5 wins to secure the championship, and Mick needs 4.
Okay, I'm giving confirmation to Mick now to start the game.
All right, and here it is.
Here we go.
So, what's the first thing that jumps out at you when you look at this board?
Pathfinding, hunting party. So probably the biggest thing here is that JSH is pointing out that messenger pirate ship is the thing here. Yeah, the main thing here is that there's like in terms of terminal space, you can only play one terminal per turn. So that means that you can go pretty big, but in the end you're playing, one bridge troll, one courtyard, or you can play double tack and play something like tactician plus bridge troll.
Yeah, so with a tactician you could possibly get 3 bridge trolls in play. That's probably not. That's probably a little bit contrived. You got something with hunting party is probably going to look good here. Terminal draw is not a good thing to put on the end of a hunting party stack if you've dumped a lot of bad cards in your discard.
Yeah.
So courtyard is not looking like the choice there. But messenger has a buy. It's a good way to start, and it looks like something happened to the game. So
yeah, that's like DG resigned for some reason.
Yeah, it says Mick did. So I'll put his loss up there. And no.
Yeah, there you go. I'm not sure what happened. Mick resigned?
Yeah,
Mick resigned.
The score said Mick resigned, but now
Okay,
we have
I'm
a
not
new
sure.
board. Maybe there was something wrong with the setup.
There could be something wrong with the setup. Yeah, for the record, that board looks like hunting party into bridge troll to me. So here, like they're just full engine. You have village, you have smithy, you have junk dealer for trashing. So
Yeah, it might have been that they didn't have empires included in the game because there weren't any
could
empires
be.
cards. But we can't see their discussion, so we will assume that it was done for a reason. So yeah, on this board you've got keep, which gives you a little treasure.
Okay.
Okay. Well, we're gonna.
Well, so it looks like Mick is leading the series 2-0. We are on pace for our fastest championship in history. I think that Mick is just intimidated by DG, and he just doesn't even want to play a copper.
Alright, let me see if I can find Mick. I don't know if I have him. Do you, are you talking to Mick on Skype or something where you can find out what their status is?
Okay, so Mick has just posted in the streams. He's saying that he's trying to not have empires.
Oh.
So that would be no landmarks, no anything. See,
Okay.
so here, this does look like no empires to me.
Okay. Yeah, I don't see any empires on this one. I guess maybe Chariot was on the first one. I'm not sure why they're doing no empires. Yeah. Maybe that was agreed upon.
It was probably agreed upon it, and sometimes with the league, like with the league, sometimes they specify like what sets players like to play with.
Yeah, well, in Season 18 didn't have empires, so I think that might be part of it, and if DG hasn't played it much, then...
Right, I know that when Adventures came out, it was sort of the same thing. So this is... this board looks interesting. The biggest card that stands out in terms of openings is Masquerade. It draws, it trashes. There's also some really powerful stuff like Fairy, Mission, both pretty strong. Smugglers looks pretty good here for gaining. The only other gaining is Council Room and Procession, and Procession is notoriously tricky. Mm, yeah, do you have any thoughts on this board?
It looks like a pretty standard engine to me. You got good trashing with Masquerade, and you've got all the. I mean, you've got Council Room with buy and draws. You got other options for draw. Um, what do you see Mission being something that's easy to use here, or
Yeah, so like it's really clearly an engine because like Masquerade is just great. I think it was it rated? I think it was rated the second best three in Cubist's ratings. I don't know how to pronounce his name.
I guess just Quist?
Quist. Okay, Quist. Yeah, the challenge here is that aside from Masquerade, all the other cards don't quite do what you want them to do. Like Fairy can reduce the cost of things, but then you don't have buys. Mission can take extra turns, but the only things you can do on extra turns are Masquerade, Smugglers, and Procession. And Council Room is like an amazing card on the board, but like you're just giving your opponent free cards with it, which is a pretty big drawback.
Yeah, I think I see a couple of different things you can do here. I'm not sure how Smugglers is worded. It might work on mission turns. There's also
Uh, yeah,
Haggler.
it Smugglers does work on mission turns. I think Smugglers is critical.
Yeah, so Smugglers could be a good way to make use of that extra turn. Haggler is an amazing card for engines. You could potentially even ferry nobles and wait, no, they're a victory card. You
Hmm.
can't haggle them, but um, you can ferry things to make them easier to haggle. Um, and you can also get coin tokens with your plaza on your mission turn, and that would be a reason to play that mission turn potentially.
Hmm.
I mean, you're going to get the money, some of the money that you spent on it, if not all of it, back just from plaza tokens. Um, so
Hmm. Steph is pointing out that Steph likes Hagler on this board, and I agree with that. Yeah, and so just to be clear, I'm not I'm certainly playing a huge engine here. My comment is that the components are a little bit awkward, and that you have to choose between you're balancing your gaining between Council Room, Hagler, Smugglers, Procession, Mission, and Fairy, which is it's just like an awkward combination.
mhm.
You're certainly getting a lot of them, and you're certainly building a massive engine. It's just a question of how exactly you do it. Um, JSH pointed out that Fairy Procession is interesting because you can do something like reduce the cost of nobles or some other card, and then actually procession into the cheaper card.
Yeah, you might be able to
Sounds pretty cool.
process your masquerades into nobles to upgrade your draw once your trashing is done later on in the game.
All right, so let's get into the game. So it looks like both players have opened Plaza Masquerade,
Yes, indeed. And DG was able to draw both of those on turn 3, which is a pretty good deal.
which is that's the best. Um, Very important thing just happened in the chat. JSH said, "You heard it here." JSH is worth quoting. I think that's absolutely true. It just happened.
And then you quoted him again.
Mm. Oh, actually, another thing is that Plaza actually works with Mission. So I think that there might be enough here to go for the Mission thing.
Yeah, I think you can definitely get some things done on your mission turn. Um, it might be early trashing, it might be processing components into other components, and you may be able to gain a lot of that money you spent on your mission back just by the fact that you're going to be able to gain plaza tokens on that turn.
Hmm. So it looks like Mick goes Mask, Plaza, Mask, and DG has gone two plazas and a mask, and he has a coin token as well. So he could even go for yeah. So you can go for some sort of five here.
He decides to pick up the smugglers on turn 4, so
Interesting. So DG has a smugglers now, so Mick needs to be a little bit careful about that.
yeah, we've got
So now Mick is playing a masquerade, and now he has his first five. Couple of good options on five. He goes for Hagler, so Mick goes for Hagler.
Hagler is, we haven't seen the 5 rankings, but it's up there as one of the best 5 cards. It just
Hagler
does
is
so
pretty
much
solid.
for engines, and it works in big money decks too. Um,
And so now, notably here, Mick has Hagler, and double mask, and I think one Plaza. So Mick's a little bit heavy on terminals. He seems more set up for buying cards. So he could be going more for just like buying cards and getting a bunch of cards on Hagler. With two Plazas, a Masquerade, and a Smugglers, DG seems pretty well set up for Mission. And I wouldn't be surprised if he takes a Mission here. So Steph's wondering why DG discarded Copper to Plaza and then shuffled it back in. And that was probably a result of just playing a little bit quickly.
yeah, it's probably a mistake. It's really tempting to discard those coppers because it's like, well, I can just spend the coin token if I decided I wanted it, but
Mm-hmm.
you got to be careful with the shuffling because usually you're gonna want to spend some of that stuff, and he could have, yeah. Steph points out he could have played the second Plaza after Masquerade, and then he would have already shuffled, and could have safely discarded to the first one and gotten a cleaner shuffle. And it's likely that he is going to. He's looks like he's spent one of those coin tokens already. So
Yeah. I kind of, I almost just, does he get them? So he goes for Council Room, okay.
yeah,
And he has Smugglers up this turn. And if Mick is paying attention, which I assume he is in the championship match, he's going to know that there's a 5 out of 6 chance that Smugglers is in DG's hand.
now there may not be much he can do to adjust his buy. He's got Hagler and he's got a lot of money here this turn, so it would be a great time for something like event if you know your opponent has a smugglers, but he'd be wasting a lot of economy here to
Yeah,
do
well, he
that.
might just, a lot, sometimes the Smugglers, you just have to play directly into it. But, like he knows that DG already has a Council Room. So if he were to get, say, a second Council Room, that's not exactly what DG wants here.
Yeah, that might be a good way to play around it a little bit. He
Yeah,
could
it's like,
council room smuggle into a peddler or something like that. The peddler's going to be worth 8 during DG's turn, and it's unsmuggleable, and he might not want another council room. So,
mhm.
but Mick might not want one right now either. He probably would prefer to take a plaza with it if he does take it.
Mm. Yeah, there's some comments in the chat about Mick and whether he knows that there's a smugglers. I've been playing with Mick quite a bit recently, and I just sort of think that he's probably aware in a match like this the possibility of smugglers. He goes in procession. Interesting. I like it. So notably on a board like this, where you can overdraw, procession actually lets you play an action like Masquerade twice, gain an action like procession or plaza, and then play the new action again. Um, so procession allows for mid-turn gaining, which can be pretty important on boards like this.
Yeah, procession just gets ridiculous when you can process
Mm-hmm.
cards, gain new ones, and then process those cards into more cards, or what have you. Uh, Continue chaining more and more cards.
Yeah, so turn 60G, he makes a really smart play. He only puts 3 good cards on top of his deck. And that's because he's aware that Mick has 2 Masquerades. So if he were to put too many good cards on top of his deck, he'd have to pass a card back.
This also
Yeah.
allows him to keep his buy for this turn in his shuffle. Well,
Let's see, I
no,
get.
never mind. That didn't actually.
Okay,
I was
and he
thinking of
goes
that
for a
backwards.
procession. All right. So Mick processes a Masquerade.
Looks like some people are having trouble with stream buffering. Let me know if
Yeah.
that's. Um,
Yeah, so Mick does this. Yeah. Oh, someone was pointing out that you can get Fairy on the mission turn. So I sort of expect the missions to start coming out now, because there really is a lot you can do with the second turn, from Fairy to Procession to Masquerade to Smugglers. The only card that really doesn't like the mission turn is the Haggler that Nick has, and the Council Room. You don't really want to Council Room on a mission turn. Mick has another dud draw here, which is a pretty big deal.
yeah, we saw DG with a dud turn a little bit ago with that Smuggler's turn.
Okay, so the Council Room actually gives Mick a procession, so at the very least he'll get to. I guess he could even. I guess if he processes Haggler, he doesn't get the on gain on buy trigger.
Yeah, Haggler is a in-play card, so processing it gives you $4 and no benefits. It's not really a procession target that you want to be using.
Players are a little bit short on money right now. I wouldn't be particularly surprised if we see some gold come out. We could also just see with procession is very strong here. So I also wouldn't be surprised to see a number of processions come out and people going for like over gaining. I like to call it just nonsense. A lot of procession nonsense that just like mows down the piles in a couple turns.
Yeah, so like right here, DG has the option of processing his smugglers. Mick gained a Plaza and a smugglers last turn, so he could gain that smugglers back with his smugglers and gain 2 plazas or something of that sort, which looks like he did exactly that.
And so Steph is in chat and he says that he likes Hagglers for money. And I think that that is going to be better than gold, partially because with Haggler you get a lot of pile control. And piles are very, very quickly going to become a major concern here.
Yeah, Haggler is a huge pile control card. You have to be really careful. If your opponent builds a lot of those up, then even if you're ahead in points, they might be able to pick up a province and haggle a whole bunch of pile cards in the game really easily.
Yeah, so do you think that Mick is going to be able to, come back from this dead draw and make a game of this?
It's hard to say. He's got the Haggler, and DG doesn't have any right now, so he might be able to get a bit more pile control than what DG has if he plays it right. But it is troublesome to see that dead draw. I know that DG did have at least a couple of turns that were slower, but I don't know how they matched up. The later the game goes, the more and more those dead turns hurt.
Yeah. Yeah, I know boards like this, finding the right moment to green can be kind of tricky because on some boards where, like people have 3 markets, okay, they're going to buy 4 cards. Procession is harder to predict You can procession into council rooms or hagglers. It can be pretty tricky to predict exactly, but with processions and hagglers out, I'd expect these piles to start drying up pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, not only can procession gain cards, but it can gain cards that can then in turn gain cards. Um, and so the number of gains that a player has at any given point is a very complicated problem to be paying attention to.
Mhm. Interesting. I think that both Mick and DG had a hand of two plazas and a smuggler right now, and I think that and DG just discarded two copper. So that's kind of curious.
Yeah, that is questionable. He's got a lot of draw in his deck, so which he did not make it to. So discarding the coppers ended up not really making a difference. But
And
uh,
here, like, I don't know if it's just me, but I just like Mission. I like Mission a lot. Um,
yeah, especially with the number of plazas in the deck at this point, like
yeah, you can
those
build up
missions
coin
can.
tokens. You can play your masquerades. You can smuggle Plaza. Um, then again, he knows the exact contents of his deck, and he just takes the Plaza here.
Mhm.
Yeah, I would have liked to see Mission there, and then even on the Mission turn, you can ferry whatever. You can ferry. I don't know what you want to ferry. You probably want to ferry something to fit into like the chain with procession. So,
Yeah,
mm,
there's not a lot of $3 cards. If there was a lot of $3 cards in their deck, I think ferrying nobles would be interesting because
hmm
if you can pile the game and include nobles in that chain, that can get you the points you need to secure the win.
yeah, like so. Chat. I've been reading the chat, and chat's pretty high on Haggler. My personal preference here is to just buy a bunch of processions and smugglers, not track my deck, and just hope everything works out.
Hmm.
um, and then mission as well. Mm,
Yeah, I
I think
mean, mission could
I.
be an option if you know you can use procession to end the game. Um,
Mhm. Yeah, so Chad is saying this is a rare board where fairy is just not that good. I'd actually say that this type of board where fairy isn't good isn't that uncommon. It tends to happen when the boards are buy limited, where like you one buy per turn. So like over a 15 turn game, you might get 15 buys, and you just don't want to spend one of those 15 buys on fairy.
mhm.
Um,
Yeah,
so like
usually Fairy
here,
comes out right at the beginning because you're going to make that really important $5 engine component cheaper. But in this game, the $5 components aren't like the big engine components. There's Council Room, but they try to avoid that for their draw in general because of the benefit to the opponent when you have other good options. And
hmm
the the other $5 cards, like Inn is a village that has some utility, but it's not one of your primary villages with Plaza on the board, and Haggler's your payload. So it's not something like where you've got Wharf or hunting hunting party, hunting grounds, like those big engine cards that you're going to be wanting a lot of.
yeah. Let's see. So it looks like the players are going the Hagler route. It looks like the council room helped Mick out. Chat is pointing out that DG's coin tokens from his plazas are hitting the shuffle. A lot of
Yeah,
Haglers. I just think that Mission is so good. I would be buying Mission every single turn at this point. Yeah, and chat is like someone in chat is saying the same thing. Like, it's not clear in this particular spot that Mission's good, but events just let you do things that a physical card that takes up a slot in your deck just doesn't let you do.
hmm yeah. The way they're built right now, I don't really see the missions
hmm
uh, giving them a huge amount of benefit. Like they can discard some coppers with Plaza, perhaps, and get the money they spent on it back, but they haven't gone heavy procession, which would be one of
Yeah.
the biggest things that allow you to kind of mix your deck up when you're on your mission turn.
Yeah, because there's sort of two paths here. Like one path, which is the path that the players are going for, is the sort of haggler path, where you go haggler and you buy like provinces and gain stuff, and you buy nobles and gain stuff, and you get council room and you gain a bunch of stuff. And that's sort of like the stable path. You can build a very stable deck that does that. The other path that I would go for, and like I don't know if it would work, but I would go for it or lose trying, is the path that goes for mission every turn and goes for cards that go well with mission, like Procession, Plaza, Smugglers, Masquerade. And then you could buy Fairy to just do stuff. And it's not clear you could really ever pick up a province, but you could gain like 15 cards a turn, which would be sweet. I like doing that.
Yeah, and when you have that much pile control, your opponent has to get out to a huge lead or
Mm-hmm.
handle some other things. I am a little bit disappointed. I noticed this board doesn't have the number of buys required for a sneaky fairy pearl diver and buy out the pile for free play.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
we just the gains are going to come from Haggler here, so
Yeah. So as played, you know, the Haggler thing, I think is the best way to get provinces because you have this really natural transition over to just like buying a province or two.
hmm
Um,
yeah, and if you can get 2, 3 Hagglers in play, you can buy a province and then just make your deck immensely better at
and
the
then
same
make your
time.
deck great. Yeah. So let's see here. Although then there's the really tricky thing of uh, you could do well with procession. You can just gain so many actions that you can maybe even switch between decks if you like process a bunch of processions.
hmm
But as played, it looks like DG is doing. Oh, this is Mick. Wow, Mick is having a good turn. Nice. So Mick gets to process with smugglers, and this is some of the mid-turn gaining that I was talking about.
hmm
So he gains a procession, an inn, and a nobles. That's pretty great.
Yeah, smuggling nobles, uh, gaining more processions, starting to processions is uh, the point in the game where the piles start disappearing.
Yeah. So at this point, like as a council room game, both players' decks are starting to pick up, and both players' decks have council room. So the turns are going to start to be getting very, very big here. And with the presence of procession, smugglers, even mission for pile control and haggler, I think I'd expect provinces certainly within the next turn cycle because you really, really need to defend against massive pileouts. And I'd expect like it wouldn't be crazy to gain something like 10 to 15 actions in one turn cycle here.
Yeah, I don't think this is gonna go a whole heck of a lot more turns at this point. It still might take quite a while because procession is one of those tricky cards that you need to play slowly. But um, the piles are going to start draining really fast with all the haggler gains and the smuggler gains and the procession gains. Those are going to stack up, and they may or may not gain a province if somebody with a points lead like Mick has right now has an opportunity to drain the piles. Provinces might not come into the picture at all, but that's a reason why DG might want to pick one up in order to have a points lead and make it harder for Mick to drain piles while he's trying to figure out what his deck can do.
And I'm reading the chat, and I think we should do introductions, delayed introductions. So I'm Dan, by the way,
I'm
and
Deadlock.
we are your commentators for the 20 for the season 18 Dominion League championships.
JSH thinks I sound like a political candidate. He usually
All
picks
right.
one to
Mm-hmm.
assign to me as my identity for the day. But
Yeah, let's see. So I am running for office on the platform that. Let's see, what should my platform be? I'm going to say Dominion 2017 is better. That's my platform.
hashtag shuffle it was better.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I like to spell out the acronym that I'm not going to repeat on stream.
It was definitely better for me setting up for today.
Yeah.
Just spectate and throws a Twitch chat on top of it, and we're done.
All right. Yeah. So Mick has bought a mission, and I'm just going to throw this out there. I think that there have been two games I played with Mick, and one game where I spectated, where essentially I just went like super hard on procession. And so I'm just happy to see Mick buy a bunch of processions for that reason.
Hmm. Yeah, and here we see our first mission turn, and also we notice that it's
Hmm.
only turn 9. Still pretty low turn count here, and they're definitely going to be looking at how many gains they can get to
Yeah.
run out the piles here. There
Let's
is.
see.
Oh, go for it.
So yeah, the piles are looking pretty low, particularly with nobles procession. Mick has a lot of processions here.
Yeah, and he's got 2
He,
in his hand right now.
I, I think that he's actually looking for a win. Like I don't think he's going to find it, but I think it's worth checking. Because he has a point lead right now, a very narrow point lead, and if you get enough smugglers, many things are possible. Um, let's see, Sophie, what did DG gain on his last turn?
Let's go take a look.
I assume he just gained everything.
He gained an inn, he gained a nobles, he bought a peddler. Um, no, if he smuggled anything.
Oh wow, okay. And so now Mick also has the opportunity to plaza for a bunch of stuff.
Looks like haggler, inn, nobles, and peddler are the
Haggler
smugglers
in
options, except not
nobles.
peddler.
Okay.
So haggler, inn, and nobles.
Yeah, I just like to see Mick just playing a bunch of processions. Um,
So he would have to process another pile down if he wanted to
yeah.
end it
So
here.
Steph is chiming in and saying that this is dangerous for Mick. Um, and I would agree. And Breppert is saying if it wasn't a mission turn, piles would be in reach. Yeah. It's looking like, and I've learned, especially in the championships, to never count out sort of wide pile outs that you don't quite expect.
Hmm.
There's a really famous case of what was it? It was Game Sue versus Steph, I believe, where Game Sue was down 4 goons to 0, a bunch of points, and he came out with like like double transmogrify on hunting grounds with the perfect draw to like pile estates and win by a couple points. It was incredible. So particularly in the championships, never count out pile outs that you don't quite expect.
Yeah, there might be something possible here. He can smuggle some nobles. The nobles pile, if he can process 2 smugglers, is easy to drain. The question is what his other pile is. So he can process
It's
processions into
hmm
hagglers or inns. He can also smuggle those.
it's
He
certainly tough here.
does not have any way to gain more smugglers, though, I don't believe. Um, and he
One thing that
can,
Mick could go for is just getting a bunch of nobles.
yeah.
Um, that would give him a point lead. Okay, he goes for in.
He has to be careful that DG can't run the piles next turn, though, because one province and some smuggles and uh, some haggler gains might be enough to.
Yeah. So this is going to be tough. So now if Mick, so it looks like Mick likely cannot pile this turn. So then what happens on DG's turn? So Mick is going to build up. So here, because Mick is like, because because Mick isn't going to pile, what he's going to want to do is build up, a big block of points. Maybe he can like process hagglers into more nobles, get some nobles,
Hmm.
um, and then force DG to get as many points as possible. Kind of the problem here is that the only points that Mick can get are the nobles because he's playing on a mission turn.
Hmm. Yeah, if he gets the whole stack of nobles, he's gonna be up 14-3. So DG would need 11 points. Two provinces would kind of be the target to do that. Um, so
And so I believe that DG does not have many processions. I think he has one. Hmm.
yeah, so that would be the interesting thing there. If DG could play, if Mick takes all the nobles and DG can play two hagglers and buy two provinces, which he might not have enough money to do. That would be the question there.
Mm-hmm.
He could haggle the processions, and it would end the game. So.
Actually, well, this is kind of interesting because the processions are actually going to pop off and gain ins.
Hmm.
I guess the issue here is that Mick's running out of processions now.
Yeah, he did procession smugglers into a procession, so he gained one additional one this turn. I'm not sure.
Yeah, because really, if you have smugglers here, and you could process smugglers and like gain more smugglers, then you're really in business. Um,
Yeah, I don't know if he can process another smugglers, gain some inns, and then process the inns into the last nobles. Um,
I guess he could process
it certainly seems.
masquerade. If he processes masquerade and gains procession, yeah,
Yeah,
smugglers really is the best. Um,
it seems a little far-fetched still at this point, but I am not
mm,
confident enough to say that he can't make it happen here. It certainly seems like the way he's
actually,
playing, he's trying to make it happen.
it looks like he has it. Um, if he bends the masquerade, he gets a procession. He gets to pop off three processions for three ins. Ah, gosh. So then he gains three ins,
Does he
and
have
then he
more
plays
more
two
smugglers?
processions. Maybe he's one gain short. Let's see.
Ferry has not been bought
Yeah,
yet.
Ferry has not been bought. There are a board where it hasn't. So he's very, very close. I can say that much.
Yeah.
Um, so this procession is going to pop off and gain an in. And then he has two more processions, just three gains. Yeah, I think my estimation is that he's two gains short of piling here.
Yeah, it's interesting. If he had the ability to gain smugglers on this turn, I
Yeah. Oh,
think
if he had.
it would have been
Mhm.
exceptionally easy. I mean, you can chain smugglers by smuggling smugglers if DG had gained any last turn.
Yeah. So why did he gain the council room? Um, and the reasoning is probably he's probably realizing that he can't go off this turn, and that his best bet is going to be to have a deck that can pick up multiple provinces next turn. Um, because from this position, DG needs to pick up some number of points. Let's see if Mick like processes into he can process his havers into nobles and pick up points. Let's see if he goes for that.
Yeah, we've got a question about the lack of ferry again. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but kind of summary I think would be that the early components are cheap. You got Masquerade and Plazas, which are kind of the most important cards at the beginning of the game, and your gains are really restricted. So spending a turn
Mm-hmm.
buying ferry when your important cards are already cheap just wasn't important enough, and at this point, ferrying the high cost cards can cause problems with procession chains and other types of things.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm gonna say the reason why Fairy wasn't bought was because, well, like really, Fairy is a great card to buy in the mission turn. The
hmm
players here are elected to play Haggler over the early mission turns.
yeah,
So
and
Mick just played two Hagglers. He could have processed those into nobles and at least built up a point lead. I think I would have probably gone for that.
yeah, I wonder if he's trying to keep piles at a high enough state that he thinks it'll be hard for DG to end the game here. Um,
Yeah, with eight cards in hand, he just has to know that DG has like a great hand.
yeah, I guess the question is how many processions DG has and what his potential is.
I
He is
think.
only up by 7 points now, so
Hmm.
two nobles and a duchy ties, I guess. Or no, yeah, two nobles and a duchy would tie. Um,
Yeah, so DG should have a win here.
yeah, it seems likely that he can pull something off here. He one province, one nobles, takes the lead. Um,
Okay, so it looks like DG. Oh wow, just looking at Mick's hand, this is totally irrelevant. But he has procession, council room, which is nice. So Mick is certainly going to have an amazing turn if he's able to take a turn. With
yeah,
4 coin tokens, DG should be able to put this one away. I guess all he needs to do is like, what does he need? He needs like a province. I guess he needs province duchy.
hmm or province nobles. If he gains the two nobles, he's only down by
Province
three.
nobles, yeah.
So he could even like nobles haggle processions, nobles haggle processions by a duchy in an estate or something. Um, I don't know how many buys he has. That will be something that we've got to find here. And I think DG might only have the one procession. Maybe he's got a second.
I,
So
I, my recollection is that he only has one.
mhm. His gains
Um,
are probably a lot lower than Mick's are. So I think that
mhm.
his ability to do uh, something similar to what Mick did last turn is actually not
Is
very
more
high.
limited, yeah. So I do think he still should have it. He could do something as simple as like, I guess he does also need to pile. I think something that's going to be crucial for him is processing a smugglers. Um, I assume he has smugglers. I'm pretty sure he has. I'm pretty sure he opened with two. Yeah. So here, if
Mm-hmm.
he processes smugglers, he can gain two good cards. Like he could gain two nobles or two processions. I believe that Mick gained a procession on his outpost turn or on his mission turn. And so even just one procession on smugglers should gain a bunch of cards.
Yeah, so like right here, he's only 1 coin short. He's got coppers in his hand of buying a province. He could smuggle the two
And
nobles. He can buy a
and he
province,
yeah,
and
and he has 5 coin tokens, so he can buy tons of stuff.
yeah. Well, and I'm counting the coin tokens. He's got 5 coin tokens, 2 coins, 2 coppers. So
And the Haggler, yeah.
he's got 11 coins showing right now. Um, so
Yeah. So I am rooting for procession smugglers. That's what I want to see. Okay, he goes for the masquerade. Passes copper. Okay, it's copper pass. Yes, let's see. Well, it's also worth noting that this is not entirely trivial for DG because procession opens up so many options for midterm gaining.
yeah, so actually, I think he's got it right here because he can process smugglers. He does need to play
Mm-hmm.
another village. He can process smugglers for two nobles and procession. He can play two hagglers, buy a province, and smuggle the two processions. Um, so I believe he has a win in hand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and chat's pointing out that DG also has missions. So even if he fails to pile here, he could go ahead and mission and try again.
Hmm.
You want to avoid that. He wants to avoid that if possible because there is some risk that he duds out on the mission turn. Like he could draw no village or something.
Oh, that's interesting. I wonder if this is a mistake here. He's playing procession, and now
Oh
he
yeah.
needs to process a plaza or an inn in order to not have his turn end. I don't know if he wasn't watching his actions and he saw
I
the line that I
yeah. I might. This could be intentional, but this could also be finding the brand new undo button on the new client. Wow. It's also worth noting that this game has been going on for a while. It's 12:27 already Pacific time, and welcome to Procession.
Yeah, we did get started a little bit late, but this has been a long game, as procession does seem to have a habit
Yeah.
of doing.
So I think that the way chat is set up is that if DG is chatting to Mick about undo, the spectators actually will not be able to see it.
Yeah,
Uh,
they
the way the settings are
restricted.
set.
Yeah, they restricted the player chat from the spectators and spectator chat from the players. So if they're
Yeah. So I imagine that it's possible that DJ and Mick are having a conversation about this procession, uh, and we won't see undo requests. So it's possible that an undo request is being made here.
and there it goes.
Does it go through? Yeah,
Yeah. So and now he's playing his
certainly seems
villages.
possible. And of course, it's pretty classy in the finals to allow an undo request in a spot like this.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect Mick to deny a undo like that. We haven't
Mhm.
decided what the official league rules are going to be. I think that the only requirement for undos is going to end up being something that's breaking the game. But I expect most of our players will allow undos in situations where it didn't affect the game state for the most part.
All right, so this is okay. So now if he processes in, he can gain the nobles, and then province gaining procession will be it.
Hmm. What did he do with the smugglers? He gained nobles and procession. Okay, he just saw a
Yep.
slightly different line here um, than the one that I described. But
And I think even without the undo, DG was quite likely to have this game. Even if he had to process a plaza, he would need to figure something out.
hmm.
But
I mean, he could.
now he has it in hand.
Mhm. I think he probably could have processed one of those plazas into another haggler, and then he would have had even more gains on the end here.
Okay, so he's going up to and he can actually double province here.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, and he's province possession, and now he can do whatever he wants. He picks up a plaza and a province and a peddler. All right, so that's game one for DG. Um,
I'm not sure what you meant by that question.
I'm, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Amazon Echo, but for whatever reason, it thought I said the word Alexa. Maybe we can have that commentating a match in the future at some point.
Yeah, Amazon Echo can probably handle it.
Yeah. Chad is saying 9.5 turns and it takes an hour. Welcome to Procession. And so we're into game two. And doesn't look like there's any empires here. So this board should be a keep. Starting player is Mick. And the biggest question mark here, well, I'm just going to come out and say it. I love Sentry. I think Sentry's great. This might not be the best board for it, but I
Yeah,
still like it a lot here.
we might see the players just stick with lookout for trashing. Sentry is really good on a 5-2. It's pretty good when you get it on your second shuffle. It's really sad if you don't get it on that second shuffle, and so that's
Hmm.
something you got to really watch out for. You want to try to maximize your chances on that if you're targeting that for your trashing, because once the number, once the percentage of good cards in your deck gets too high, Sentry only seeing two makes that trashing a little bit unreliable. Um,
Yeah. So I'm still huge on Sentry. It's one of my favorite cards. I even get like 7 of them a lot. I just love it. Um, but anyway, so looking at this board, one thing to note is there is no gaining at all. So if you're building up for 12 turns, you're going to be able to pick up 12 separate cards and play those 12.
mhm.
I think one of those cards has to be a potion. Between Alchemist is the only draw and Familiar as the junking. I think you're going to need a potion at some point.
Yeah, Alchemist and Familiar both seem plenty important here, even without having extra buys, which Alchemist is pretty important for Alchemist usually. Having Familiar on the board with it makes that potion so much more valuable.
Hmm. So the only non-terminal here is Militia, which makes Militia do literally nothing. Um, so it looks like the path here that like, it looks like there's only one path. And that's, you need a Militia and a potion, probably one Lookout, probably one Sentry, a bunch of Alchemists, probably, and then you can probably train Alchemist if you want. It's probably good.
Hmm.
And then you can just ignore Treasure altogether at that point.
Yeah, I think that Militia Peddlers are not really relevant here without any way to gain extra ones.
Peddlers are tough, yeah.
But yeah, and then if you split the Alchemist 5/5, you can get 5 points from training. But that does take a lot of turns. We'll see how they play
We'll
it
see.
out here. Um,
I think that this is going to end up being a province race because you can only gain one card per turn. So you might not even be able to build up to 5 alchemists if people go like 3 or 4 alchemists, train the alchemist, top deck the alchemist, and then maybe they get like 1 gold or one whatever, a militia, and just go province, province, province.
mhm.
Um,
I would agree with Assemble Me in the spectator chat. Peddlers could get bought if they end up with $4, and peddlers are cheap.
mhm.
And I mean, if you don't want
It
villages, you've already got a militia.
If
Um,
villages were workers' village, I think this board would come down to a peddler rush, but you just can't. You just don't have extra buys that often.
mhm,
So it looks like DG is really tanking on whether he wants to open potion or militia.
mhm.
Um, I think I like. I think I like militia lookout into sentry potion. I think you want the one lookout early just to get some estates out of the way. Um,
Yeah, I think that guaranteed early trashing is too important to skip Lookout, and opening Lookout Potion just doesn't feel good with the 3 potion cards, so I would
yeah.
I would definitely go with the Lookout Militia opening, and it looks like
Wait.
DG
What?
made
Wait.
that
What did he
decision.
buy? DG.
He picked up the Militia.
Oh, DG goes for militia. Okay, and Mick goes for potion.
Oh, and Mick does do the Lookout Potion turn. Now, he did see his
Wait,
Lookout.
wait, wait, wait. So DG goes militia silver and Mick goes potion.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, did Mick go potion silver? This is going fast now.
Mick went Potion Lookout, and DG did open Militia Silver. I had assumed he got a Lookout, but he just picked it up
Oh
here on
wow!
his
Now
second
they went
shuffle.
from going way too slow to way too fast. Opening potion is actually horrendous if you get militia.
Yeah, and now we
Mm.
see Mick here with a bad potion draw on
Oh,
turn
oh, oh.
5.
Okay, and DG has a sentry already.
Yeah.
Wow.
Although Mick did pick up a familiar on turn 3, it appears. He did get his lookout with 2 estates on turn 4. Turn
Okay.
3, he got lookout and 2 estates, so he was
So we
pretty
have
solid.
sentry versus familiar. I think sentry's better. DG goes double sentry. Nice.
Yeah, picking up a second sentry seems really pretty important with the familiar and mixed deck
Hmm.
and the threat of more
And he goes
coming.
potion now. Militia comes down and hits DG.
He hits a trashing hand though, so that's really not very painful for DG, I wouldn't say.
And so now Mick hits 6, picks up his first sentry. Okay, so DG is forced to discard the potion, which is pretty painful, because he can't buy a 3 potion card.
Yeah,
And
and yeah, well, he can't. He's not going to be able to buy much of anything anyway, so he might leave the potion there
mhm.
so that he can draw that with Sentry and have a better chance of. Yeah, he did discard the potion.
I wonder if he trashes the silver. You probably keep it. Yeah, I think you keep it.
Yeah, I think the question here is just whether you want it in your next hand or if you want to discard it here.
Kind of depends on the shuffle. You probably have Militia coming up soon. He has like 6 cards in the deck.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would probably discard it.
And
And
he
he does.
does. Yep.
Okay, so here we have double sentry for DG against the familiar single sentry of Mick. Um, let's see how this goes. So DG gets to play another sentry. He's going to hit 4, 5 actually. He could even go for something like training sentry. I don't think it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, Sentry is a decent filtering card even after you've gotten your junk cards out and with the familiars and
Yeah,
mixed
and he
deck.
goes triple. So he could be going sentry training sentry. Mick also has his deck under control. He just got a double trash with sentry. He's going to hit 4 here. There's really not a lot that's good to pick up on 4. It might just be a peddler.
And it is indeed.
And let's see if DG opts for an alchemist or a familiar. He goes for familiar. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's good to not get totally buried under those curses, which he
Hmm.
already kind of is. But giving a few to your opponent is really helpful.
It's
If he
gonna
can
slow him down.
if he can keep up on the sentries and just give a few of those curses out to Mick, then that'll keep him from kind of getting stuck under the weight of that trashing.
And these familiars certainly are slowing DG down. Um, he might actually like. I wonder if his sentries can actually. He can dig 12 cards deep this turn, so he might actually be able to trash those curses to sentry, which is kind of ridiculous. Um,
Yeah, and he's shuffled here.
I would top deck the potion for sure. Yeah. See. Oh, that's
Oh, and
nice.
wow. Yeah, that's a great
So I
sentry reveal.
think that pretty quickly these decks are going to turn into 1 province per turn. And right now the players are jockeying for position, because once you build a deck that can consistently hit 8 every single turn, you want to be the player that buys the first province.
Absolutely. And there will be a little bit of a question here if somebody gets unlucky and can't ever find their last curse with that lookout or sentry, then that could give them a little bit of trouble.
I guess, yeah, that's especially a concern for Mick.
Hmm.
Um, actually, the best training target right now is Sentry, and if DG, yeah, he does go for the Alchemist. If DG is able to hit 6 and train his sentries, that could be trouble for Mick. If Mick is able to bury DG and slow him down with these curses, that would be really good for Mick. So let's see how this plays out.
Yeah, curses are 4-1 right now, so if DG can't have good luck finding them with his sentry, that could really slog him down. Um,
Yeah, and oh, I wonder if he. I think I would get rid of the lookout here. I think its time is done.
see what DG thinks. DG does still have 4 curses in his deck, but he has a lot of sentries. He's
He has
got
four
3 of those.
sentries. Oh, he top decks it. Ew.
Decided to keep it around. He knows he's got all four curses are in his discard because he gained 2 of them and he discarded the other 2 at the start of this turn.
Mm-hmm.
So if he can get this shuffle right up to the end and play these sentries, then he might be able to trash a ton of them again here.
So now there's some question about whether or not he's done with that potion. I guess he probably keeps it.
Yeah, I think we're still in the cursing phase here. Once these curses are gone and they get trashed out, then they're really going to accelerate towards buying those provinces.
So here the question is, how does DG... so basically what he needs to do to hit 6 is he needs to buy training, train his sentries. And he sort of has 4 or 5 right now. Oh, he does have... The question is, how many copper does he... Does he only have 1 copper in his discard?
I'm not sure how many coppers he has left. We could
I
try
think
to check the trash.
I'm checking the log. Yeah. So he reveals a copper, trashes a copper, trashes a copper.
There are 10 coppers in the trash, so there's still 4 in the world.
Yeah, I think DG only has 1 actually, which would be... Oh, and he opts not to play Sentry?
Yeah, I think he didn't want to trigger that shuffle because he wasn't going to be able to get enough of that junk out of the way. He has 4 curses in there.
Oh, man.
So that would have been probably a pretty nasty shuffle.
Okay, with that by a peddler, DG has exactly 6 money in his deck. Mick has the 3 copper, so now Mick has exactly 6. Mick's deck is totally... So Mick can draw a deck here, no problem. Yeah, we might just see him train Alchemist here.
Yeah, so he's got 2 Alchemists and 2 Familiars. He could go with training. He could also get more Alchemists first. I'm not sure. He could buy a farmland and try to farmland in province every turn, but the draw is probably not high enough at this point. Yeah, and he does train Alchemist.
Yeah, I think with DG's last turn, if I was playing it, I would have trashed the Lookout because I don't think you really want it so much, and then I would have just gone straight Sentry into the curses. Mm-hmm. So you maybe get rid of 2 of them, and then you have 2 in hand, and then Mick plays Militia, you discard the 2 curses. I'm not sure if you trigger a shuffle there. You might even trigger a shuffle so that you discard the 2 curses, and then you have a deck of 8 good cards, which really works out.
Yeah, I'm not sure what all was in his discard. I know that I think that there was a potion there and a copper and 4 curses. It might have been a guaranteed dud turn nearly if he would have triggered through, but maybe he didn't have enough in that discard to make that big of a difference.
I guess now sentries are gonna get the curses. Let's see who's first player. So this is Mick's first player. Okay. Mm-hmm. This is looking pretty grim for DG. Mick has established pretty much a golden deck at this point with his Alchemists. He's going to be able to Militia every turn, play some Alchemists, and probably hit a province. Mm-hmm. If DG's able to play Militia every turn, it might slow him down a little. It might force Mick to pick up another Alchemist. But it does look like Mick is winning the province race by around a turn or 2. Chad is asking province time. It's probably going to be either this turn or next turn for Mick. And I'm guessing it could be something like, I don't know, maybe 2 to 3 turns for DG, because DG hasn't even picked up training yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is interesting, the negative interaction between Militia and your opponent's sentries. It lets them potentially drop their curses that they drew into their hand into the discard, and they can kind of target them very directly with their sentry.
So I'm rooting for 4th Sentry for DG just because that's my card. Not sure it's good.
I mean, it might be good if he's looking to train it, and if you train your sentries and have a lot of them and can hit 8, the filtering effect that they have will make it pretty unlikely that you have a dud.
Yeah, if you can train, like sentries can discard provinces. He does take Peddler, which I think I like. And because I think he has 7 money in his deck now, so the Peddler makes it more likely that he's going to hit there. Mick's taking his time. He's playing very conservatively here. He's going to pick up another Alchemist. Shows that he's respecting DG's militia attack. And he is going to overbuild here.
Yeah, and it looks like he is a coin short of 8, so that Alchemist is going to get him to 8 on this turn.
So Lala in chat is making a very good point. With farmlands, you don't actually need to hit 8. You can farmlands your potion into another farmlands or fairgrounds. Probably fairgrounds is better. Oh, you can actually farmlands the potion into gold. Okay.
Yeah, the question is whether
you
you
can
need to
farmland
top
the
deck the
sixes.
Alchemists.
I think you do.
Because if you get rid of your potion, you can't top deck them anymore. And I'm not sure what their fairgrounds are worth at this point. They're probably not to 4, so I think fairgrounds probably won't play into this one.
Probably not so much. DG plays Lookout and hits a curse, which is nice. See, so DG has his 6 here. So I'm guessing this is where he trains sentries. Maybe he could train something else too. I guess maybe even, does he have 3 peddlers?
I'm not sure. It could be 2/2.
Oh, and another good point is that Chad is saying that if you have a 6-cost card in your deck, you can get 8 points on the final turn, because you can farmland a gold. Like you can farmland a 6 into a province.
Yeah.
And the extra farmland gives you 2 extra points.
Yeah, that is a good thing to have the option of doing, if possible.
Yeah, so I think Mick has played it pretty conservatively, and he has this super overbuilt Alchemist stack. So I think that Mick has basically laid his cards on the table and has said, I am just going to pay 8 and buy a province like 4 turns in a row. And DG is trying to figure out if he has any lines to compete with that. And, given these farmland lines, it looks like maybe he does. If he can have that 6 in his deck.
Yeah, the trick is having that 6, and it could just be a farmland, like you could buy one right here, but DG did not draw his deck this turn, and I'm not sure how much overdraw Mick has either. We'll have to try to pay attention to that. He did discard a sentry and a peddler, so...
Whoa! DG just buys a peddler on 6.
That is...
That is surprising.
That seems like a clear misplay. Training Sentry gets him 3 peddlers, so...
I would have expected training first. This could be another undo spot. We'll see. Mick isn't taking his turn yet.
Yeah, I don't know. That seems like a...
It seems like, yeah.
That doesn't seem like a misclick. I don't know. I guess if they undo, we'll see if it happens, but...
Well, I suspect it might be because Mick isn't taking his turn yet, and if he was taking his turn, he would start playing it out as Alchemists.
I suppose Peddler and Training are right next to each other, so it could be a misclick.
It could also be that he intended to train Peddlers. Oh, it looks like Mick's taking his turn.
Yeah.
So the Peddler stands.
Yeah, I think it seems more like just kind of a strange misplay there.
So this turn, Mick is overdrawing his deck by how many cards does he have? He has his deck is only 3 cards actually that aren't non-terminal. So he should be able to take 4 provinces in a row here, no problem.
Yeah, he has 7 cards in his deck that he does not draw at the start of the turn, and he has 5 Alchemists now, 2 Familiars, and 1 Peddler, maybe? was it? Yeah, one peddler it
Yeah.
looks like.
Well, so he has a
So
militia, a copper, and a potion.
so he has 13 cards of draw. He's got 6 cards of overdraw as of this next turn.
Yeah.
I'm actually a little bit surprised that he did not take a province last turn. He took an alchemist when
hmm
he already had 5 cards of overdraw. Um,
Yeah. So what Mick is saying with this play is that he doesn't want to miss the potion after taking some provinces and have his deck fall apart,
mhm.
which could happen. But he's playing very conservatively here.
Yeah, it seems nearly impossible. I mean, he had 5 cards of overdraw, and I don't know how many stop cards he's got. He's got
Yeah, well,
militia.
even here, I think he's opening himself up to like here, if DG just trains peddlers, for example, Mick buys 4 provinces, DG buys 4 provinces. Guess what? That's a tie.
Hmm.
So one thing that we could see happen is like suppose DG, cleans up his deck, trains peddler here. What could happen is that then Mick takes 3 provinces, DG then takes 3 provinces. Um, And then if that happens, then what would happen is Mick might elect to go into duchies or fairgrounds or something, um, and force an extended greening phase that would lead to sort of a random winner.
Yeah, and that's why it kind of surprises me he didn't take a province last turn. DG is still not quite in position to buy them. Um, Although he does have a silver. If he would have drawn his deck, he could buy one here, but he has way less overdraw than Mick does right
Yeah.
here. And I think forcing the greening phase there, when he already had 5 cards of overdraw, can pretty easily absorb those provinces.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah. So buying an extra alchemist does make his deck much more consistent. And at this point, I think that Mick's deck is 100% consistent. I think that he can take 4 provinces 100% of the time, even if you stack the deck against him.
mhm.
Um, you know, One thing here is that because this is the finals, see, Mick needs to win 4 games, so Mick really doesn't want to draw here. Doesn't do him any good.
Yeah, I mean 2.5 is enough for DG to win the league. So okay, yeah, and
So
DG elects to do the farmland potion to gold idea that
trick.
was brought up earlier.
So now DG actually has a small point lead. So this game is sort of going to come down to a game of chicken here, in that um, Mick at this point has to take provinces every turn, I think. Um, and like it really is a question of, can DG pull his deck together with his sentries and peddlers every turn? Because Mick's deck is 100% consistent, and DG's deck just isn't 100% consistent at this point.
Yeah, I think barring some really good luck from DG, we're going to see a dud turn come out here at some point along the way. Like he hits 8 here, but only just exactly. Um,
Although this is where Sentry is like super nice because you can like filter and stuff.
that is true. It may not be extremely bad luck that, or extremely
Okay.
good luck he needs to avoid dudding with the sentries.
Yeah, so it looks like Mick can take a large. Mick currently only has 3 cards in his deck. And assuming he gets militia, he starts each turn with 8 cards in hand. So Mick's not dudding anytime soon.
No, for sure not. Yeah, and he was
Uh,
even able to. That's probably why he took that extra alchemist, was so that he could trash this copper.
right. And so now Mick's deck is super consistent, so he's reducing his threat from dud turns. But now, like, he's neutered his deck enough that DG could just, DG could just get more points than him.
Yeah, since DG took that initiative on the greening with the farmland play, um,
hmm
I do think it's reasonably likely that DG will miss province here at some point, which will give Mick the win easily.
Hmm.
But if DG doesn't, Mick's gonna have to go pick up a duchy when the provinces get down to two.
Yeah, but DG does have threat here. To be clear, like he has threat because he's ahead on points. So it's a question of can DG keep his deck together for, like however many more turns. Let's see.
Yeah.
So here, so do you want to lower farmlands? Think you probably do. Okay, it doesn't matter that much, but I probably would have knocked a farmland out of supply.
hmm Yeah, I think Mick will be in pretty standard duchy dancing position. He's down by two. He can buy a duchy when there's two
Hmm.
provinces left.
How
And
close is DG to Fairgrounds? He is gold, silver, farmland. He is one, two, three. Farmland, gold, silver, province, militia, sentry, alchemist, familiar, peddler. So DG can actually take 4 point fairgrounds exactly,
hmm,
I believe. Let me check. Province, gold, silver. Um,
copper.
wait, he's copper too. Okay, you might have to take that out. But if he takes it, militia, sentry, fairgrounds, farmland, peddler, alchemist, familiar. Yeah, DG just has fairgrounds that are worth more than Mix. Oh, and he has 5 here, so he's dead. But it was fun while it lasted.
Yeah, so now Mick has a point lead and a 1 point lead with the provinces at three, and that allows him to take a 7 point lead here. With two provinces, it should be uh, the nail in the coffin for DG. We'll see. Mick does have. What does he have? He's going to have 6 stop cards. Technically, he could draw 3 provinces, potion militia, or 4 provinces, potion militia with his 3 alchemists that he gets to keep, assuming DG finds his militia.
Yeah,
So there is but here's 2 provinces here, so I think Mick cannot dud on this next turn.
yeah. So I think DG's best hope here is that Mick plays militia before playing all his alchemists and forgets that there's an undo button.
So Goko misclick, flashback.
Yeah, so now I guess
Okay.
he can farmland lookout into duchy, which I think you have to do just to actually, oh, if he that might actually be good. Does he do it? Yeah. This is interesting. Now Mick has a 2 point lead. So if Mick buys so Mick buys province, he goes up to 30. If DG can pull out farmland on his gold into province, that's a tie. So I think DG's alive here.
Yeah, that is interesting. Uh,
He's alive. He needs to get pretty lucky, but and I think Mick has to go province here. I don't think he has a yeah, I don't think he has a choice because if he doesn't go province, then DG can start taking fairgrounds. But if Mick takes a duchy, then DG takes the fairgrounds, and then Mick's like losing on points. Another option Mick has here, if he doesn't want to provide DG with the out to tie, is he could just like say, I think my deck's better than yours and play this really extended greening game. But
yeah, it's an
think
interesting.
think Mick's probably going to go for it. He might not even see. Well, I assume he has to see the farmland to gold line.
Yeah, it's not necessarily something you would expect, but
I guess Mick now has the option of going like farmland potion into gold or something. Um, that could actually be safe. Why is it safe though? I don't know. He could farmland into because Mick's deck is smaller, so Mick doesn't have the option of going fairgrounds. This is a really interesting spot. And you can see that Mick is pausing here.
He does take the
And
province.
he does take the province. So let's see if DG can pull this one out with a tie, which is essentially good. That's essentially a win for him here.
Yeah, it's as good as a win for him since he doesn't have the tie yet.
So he needs to find 2 peddlers to tie.
Oh, and he didn't. Mick did not play
Oh,
his
and
potion.
Nick did not play the potion. Wow. We might see an undo from Mick here. Philip is saying an undo is incoming. I'm not sure if that's confirmed, but the players have been pretty good about these actions that are clearly misclicks. Yeah. So, but I'm gonna take a look at how many peddlers DG has played this shuffle.
I think Mick only has the one. Oh, how many he's played this shuffle? Yeah.
Yeah, because because he needs to play 3 peddlers to get 6 coins to farmland that gold.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, if he misses, he loses on the spot immediately. But let's keep the dream alive. Okay, so Mick.
Yeah, so they did do the undo here, and we're back at the point where DG is discarding.
Oh
2
no,
militia.
we're actually back with 6 provinces in supply.
Oh shoot! What happened there?
Uh-oh, that's not good. All right, so we might need to get a ruling. We might need to consult the makers of Dominion 2017 here. So what happened was like the game got rewound, I think, a couple extra turns from the undo.
Yeah, it got rewound quite a ways. Now this is all run off of a random seed, so if they play their turns exactly as they did, they can get back to where they were.
And I think the way these turns, in some games, it would be difficult to play the turns exactly as they were. In this game, I don't think it's so hard. I do wish it could be that DG had a guaranteed tie there. Yeah, so it happened was they intended to undo just 1 turn cycle so Mick could play his potion, but the game went back 2 or 3 turns.
I think I saw this once a long time ago.
Yeah, it was looking pretty tense as to whether DG could pull out a tie. So it looks like the players are continuing to play. It's not clear to the spectators currently whether an agreement has been made to play the game out to just restore the previous game state, or rather they're just rewinding and playing the game from turn, I believe, around turn 16, turn 17.
Yeah. We will...
In any case, this means we get more commentating in.
Yeah.
Yeah, here we go.
We get to redo our commentating. If there was anything you felt like you did badly the first time around, we can redo it here, and then maybe somebody will edit the archived stream.
Right. So welcome to the parallel universe. I am Dan number 2, and this is Deadlock number 40.
That's right.
Mick ask you in Discord.
Discord.
Hi,
I
Mick.
only have so many monitors.
Hi. Okay, yeah. So I am in contact with the players on Discord right now. Oh no!
Okay. Asking us for recommendations.
Okay, so apparently Mick typed in undo 3 into as a command, and DG granted it. So he did not hit the undo button. He did undo 3, which might undo 3 turns.
Should undo
3
3
steps,
actions, but
but it
um,
somehow undid multiple turns.
so
Okay. Yeah. DG had 1 out to tie. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it looks like Mick meant to undo 3 actions. DG allowed it, and then the client went back several turns. So Mick had an out. So DG had an out to tie, which as spectators we know that he had Peddler. We know that he had his hand was Peddler, Sentry, Gold. Um, so he had to find 2 more Peddlers in order to tie. So it's not immediately clear unless we know the top 3 cards of DG's deck whether he whether he was going to hit or not. He certainly had a chance to hit. So we're going to have it looks like some sort of ruling is going to come down. There's a discussion going on among the league about how we're going to play this. I do want to point out that if someone has time, if we know what the top 3 cards of DG's deck were at that point, because he only had 3 cards in his deck and he had a Sentry, if there were 2 Peddlers in those 3 cards, he would be 100% to tie. If it was 3 dud cards, like 3 provinces, he'd still have a chance to tie because he'd still be able to Peddler and draw a new card. So this is a pretty interesting spot. Yeah, so the out to tie, of course, is farmlanding the gold into province for 8 points. So it looks like there's going to be some active discussion on this.
they are going to
Going to
try to replay the game as they played it the
Okay.
first time.
Yep, so they're going to try and restore the game state.
I would think you have a reasonably good chance of succeeding here. Playing the sentries is going to be the hardest thing, but you ought to be able to remember what you would have done because the decisions are going to be the same.
Yeah, the challenge here is that when you get to actually maybe is there yeah I am curious because if we know that there were 2 sentries on top of DG's deck, I think that you can safely declare the game a tie. Unfortunately, now that the game has progressed, we can't go back and check the log in the future in the alternate parallel universe. Something's happening.
Oh, they undid again because Mick trashed that copper, and so he needed to.
Oh, and he needed to do it exactly the same. Yeah. So the out to tie is farmlanding the gold into province, which gives 8 points. And now I don't even know if in this parallel universe that we're in the chat rewinds. Yeah.
The chat is questioning whether he had 6 without spending the gold, if you're counting the gold and the money he would need.
No, he needs the peddlers are going to be trained. So he would need. So DG would need. DG has trained peddlers, right?
No, I don't believe so.
Oh, well, that makes it a lot harder for him. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I just assumed that if he had 4 peddlers, he would have trained them.
Yeah, he didn't have an opportunity to do so. So I think he has to play. He's got like a copper and a silver, so he needs 3 peddlers and those.
Gosh, now he needs to remember difficult little things like, do you discard or top deck your familiar to Sentry? I don't know. And I guess wait, is this the spot where he doesn't trash the lookout? He discards the lookout. Okay.
He discarded the copper and lookout. We'll presume that that's what he did the previous time. Here he's hit
Mm-hmm.
6, and this is where he purchased a duchy, correct? Or no, wait. This is where he farmlanded Lookout into duchy. So something
Yeah. Okay, so Mick is saying in Discord that
not correct.
DG might have agreed to give the game to Mick if they couldn't figure out the solution.
Hmm.
Um, and it does look like in one of the decisions, like did he play familiar or did he discard familiar to Sentry? It's like hard to know.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and I do want to say if DG didn't train Peddler, then I'd like to amend my previous statement. He actually needs to find um, like I assumed the peddlers were trained, so I thought he just had to find 3 peddlers that each added 2. He'd actually need to find something like a bunch of peddlers plus, well, like he needs to find 6 plus the gold, which might be difficult for the deck to do.
Hmm.
Although again, like it's statistically possible. Like if the deck's lined up the right way, you could just peddler into peddler into peddler into peddler into militia.
Yeah, something is off.
Yeah, so we'll see how the players resolve this. Both these players have been shown to be pretty honorable, so I think that they're going to reach an agreement among themselves about how to resolve this game. Okay, except we have a comment from JSH that he says honorable. You don't know Nick. Um, yeah. Yeah, and I do want to say that I'm realizing I assume that DG's peddlers were trained because I think it makes sense for him to buy training over the 4th peddler. Um, but if his peddlers aren't trained, it's actually relatively thin for him to pick up 6 with 2 cards. He'd need to hit. It's definitely possible. It sort of depends what his deck was, but it's not as easy as just hitting 3 peddlers. He needs like 4 peddlers plus a militia or something.
Yeah, I thought buying the peddler was a misplay over training sentries or peddlers. I guess he had 3 of each at that
Mm-hmm.
point. And it depends on whether you want that payload to be clumped all into the peddlers or spread out. He added 1 coin of payload to his deck with that buy, where he could have added
Mm-hmm.
3.
Yeah. Oh, hey, WW is back in chat. Welcome back to the stream. Yeah. Yeah, so the way random seeds work on the new client is that the games are random seeded. And so if the player actions are the same, the shuffles will be exactly the same.
Yeah, there's
It
a
looks,
pseudo
yeah.
random generator that has a seed. The seed's not visible, but they're planning on having them logged in the future so that you can pick up a game and have the log replay it to a certain point and take off and continue for points of discussion.
So the game seems to be being played from a different spot. So I'm not
Yeah.
sure what exactly the agreement is here among the players, because now Mick is actually at a point deficit.
Yeah, they may have decided to continue, but I'm not sure because there was talk that if they failed to recreate the state, that DG was going to go ahead and resign this one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we're going to see what happens. So it looks like DG ends up resigning the game. I think he was aware that with the straight peddlers, he had a chance to tie. But he realizes that these things happen, and he says, "All right, let's move on to the next game."
Yeah, it was a pretty extreme long shot. At that point, he needed to find three peddlers and or four peddlers in his silver, or three in his silver and copper.
And
Um,
it looks like the undo 3 actually undid 76 is what I'm hearing. Um, well, so we got a new board here. DG is first player. It's tied 1-1.
yeah.
Um, so Mick can afford to lose one more game. He needs to win 4 games to take the series, to take the championship. Um, and what stands out to you about this board?
I see a lot of kind of monolithic strategies that people would think of. You've got ill-gotten gains, you've got Duke and Theodem, but you also have some really good defense in Jack. You've got Traitor, and you've got some engine and draw. You've got a really oppressive engine with torture. So yeah, there's a lot of different things going on here. Traitor Theodem is another one of those little simple strategies you see.
Yeah, there's a lot of points here in Duke, Fairdom. So sort of got to imagine that this game is going to go on for, like, there's a lot of points. So the game's going to be long. Hunting Party is a very good Dominion card. I have to imagine that a lot of those are going to get bought. Torturer draws a lot of cards. It's going to make you want villages. Um, so I guess there is a question of whether the players go for something like Trader Feudum or Jack Feudum that's sort of like more sloggy, or if they go for Giant Engine with Fortress, Hunting Party, and the plus buy is pretty awkward on this board in Storeroom, but you'd probably pick up Storerooms for a buy.
Yeah, I think there's some talk of how well Trader Fatum counters any of the engine options here, and I'm gonna I think I'm gonna side with the chat here. I think Trader Fatum is actually pretty immune to everything that this board can do to it. You've got curses that try
Hmm.
to come at you with torture or ill-gotten gains, but if you load up on traders, those just give you more silver. Jack of all trades could be used to start out. There's some discussion about whether that's good or not in the
Hmm.
chat. But Jack can clear out some of the estates, make your deck a little better to start with. It might be a reasonable option early. I'm not sure what the mirror will look like if they both go for Trader Fatum. What can you mix in? Do you go Duke Duchy along with it? Um, but Jack can also counter the torture turns. You can discard down to one Jack of all trades and still draw up to a 5 card hand.
Okay. So it looks like chat is a pretty big fan of Trader Feudum. So if you let's see, so suppose you're able to get something like 25 silver, you're dealing with 8-point Feudums, and you can still buy provinces and stuff. Um, I
Yeah,
do think that even against that, a deck that has something like 7 or 8 hunting parties, 2 storerooms, and then you could even backdoor into a bunch of torturers to like give out curses. I think if you do decide to go for that, you at least have to be a little bit worried about this massive engine that's looming.
yeah. I mean, if you can get, if you go after the torturers late when maybe their trader coverage isn't very good, or if you
Hmm.
lull them into a false sense of security, then maybe that works. IGG works nice with trader. Like if you're not playing the trader strategy, the trader Fatum player
Yeah.
can pick up IGG, give the engine player some curses to deal with, and then trader them into 5 silvers.
Mm. So it
I don't
looks
know.
like almost everyone in chat is on Trader Feudum. So let's see.
Yeah, both chats are have some agreement on Trader Fiatum. We got Wandering Winder in the stream chat. He says that his gut says that Jack first is not better, but it's close. Um,
Okay, and so we have DG opens Hunting Party X. He is 3.
Yeah,
I
the
I just want to see him go storeroom here. Does he do it?
no, he picked up a
He goes
silver.
silver. Okay.
The hunting party, the 5-2 split is really painful here. Hunting party is an
So he
amazing
goes
card, but
trader.
opening hunting party nothing is kind of sad. Especially as you saw, he didn't really get anything with it when he drew it on turn 3.
Mm-hmm.
If you draw it turn 4, you can get your turn 3 buy with it. That can work out okay, but I think he's kind of a step behind here, having to open with a hunting party, but
We'll see. You know, you can see the players are playing this very carefully. They're taking their time. You also saw last game how they took several minutes to think about their first move and then played the first like 7 turns in under a minute. So let's see. This is, you know, if I'm DG here, I'm wondering if I'm gonna mirror the trader feudum or if I'm gonna go for this, you know, hunting party fortress storeroom thing and maybe look to Duke afterwards. So it's you could even add ins to like top deck hunting parties or something. So it's you know, there's a lot of different paths on this board.
yeah, if they generally mirror the trader feudum here, I think the most
Mm-hmm.
interesting part of this game is going to be at the end to see what direction they take it. You're not gonna. Well, I mean, it's possible they could run the trader pile out, and then silver and feudum could run out and in the game that way. But I would
Yeah.
expect silver and feudum to be the only piles when that kind of race runs out.
So okay.
And then whether Duke Duchy is a path that they try to take, or whether they go after the provinces, or if somebody's ahead enough to like try to drain traders.
So let's see. See, so trader feudum. So if they pile silvers, it's like 13-point feudums. You know, they probably get contested a little bit, so maybe they're like 10 points. Yeah, so I guess feudum is more points than anything else.
Yeah, if you contest a little bit and can get all the dukes and duchies, then the points would be pretty similar. But I think that, I mean, the feudum player just has so many silvers, they're going
Mm-hmm.
to contest duchies really easily on you. So you're not going to get like 6, 7, 8 point dukes. That's just not going to happen
Mm-hmm.
against trader feudum. Um, so I think you have to try to split trader feudum as closely as you can, because I mean, if you get 9, 10 point feudums and gets a good chunk of the pile, then um, it's going to be really hard to overcome those points, because not only do you have to overcome those points, you have to do it while the feudum player is still buying provinces and pretty much whatever they want with 30 silvers in their deck.
Okay, so DG has moved in on a feudum here. Um, Mick has 7. Do you think he's taking feudum?
Um, yeah, I mean, sometimes the silver feudum games are a little bit tricky because you really don't want to lose that feudum split, but um, if you lose the silver split by a huge amount, it can hurt you as well. Mick goes ahead and picks up a hunting
He
party
takes a
there.
hunting party. All right.
I think some hunting parties is good to try to get that trader in hand more often. It really can help you get a bigger share of that silver pile. But we see DG up by 2 Phantom now.
Interesting. Mick takes a storeroom on 3. What do you think of that?
Um, well, I mean, having a buy in your deck seems like it could come in handy later on in the game. Um, and buying 1 silver isn't particularly thrilling. So,
Mm-hmm.
and you see there he was able to use the storeroom along with the trader to pick up an extra silver buy. So if he had bought a silver, he's just up a storeroom at this point already.
Mm-hmm. See, so he traders. Okay, okay. DG traders one of his feudum. which I think is looking okay here, just given his deck.
Yeah, especially since he kind of had already secured the split. Now he has the split 4-3 instead of 5-3, but he picks up those extra silvers.
This is 9. And so now the decks are sort of fixed, so I'd imagine players to just go for points pretty quickly here.
Yeah, and we see DG pick up the
There's not a
province.
lot. There's not a lot left to do here. That's a really surprising play by Mick there. He traders his Theoden, picks up 7 silver. He could have gotten a province there.
Yeah, I think Mick may have to be careful not to let DG get too many silvers because since he's lost the Fatum split, if DG gets 2/3 of the silver pile, then that's a really big point deficit
Yeah, I
for him
think
to deal
Mick
with.
might be backdooring into some sort of other plan. He's down 15 points right now. So he wants this game to go long. He could backdoor into some sort of hunting party thing.
Yeah, he is gonna need something. He's gonna need something to
Hmm.
happen here that isn't just playing DG's game and running the provinces out, because he's
Yeah.
got a pretty big point deficit on the way the silver and Fiatum have gone so far.
Mick had 13 silver in his discard. Mm. So let me check how many Theodems have been trashed. One, two. So 2 Theodems have been trashed. Um, and how many states? I'm trying to see if we can back out. So 5. So there's 1 estate in play. Um,
I believe Mick must have 6-point Fiatum in one estate, and DG has
yeah,
7-point Fiatum.
Theodems.
So the split being 4-3 for DG, Wandering Wonder makes a good point in Twitch chat. He says that Mick's only chance is probably making a play for the Duchy Duke line, but if
Hmm.
DG's paying any attention, it's not going to work out because DG will easily afford the duchies and contest those quite easily.
Yeah, he can contest duchies. I'm also wondering, like, there's some, I'm going to call them dicey lines. Like, Mick could attempt to put together some sort of in-torturer engine,
Hmm.
which could give DG some number of curses. Like, if you just get, like, 2 torturers or something, just be annoying.
Hmm.
Um, Trader makes you immune to that, but DG's not always going to have a Trader. He only has 2 in his deck, and his deck's pretty big at this point.
Yeah, I think DG was potentially trying to figure out how many silvers he had. He decided to trader a silver and purchase one there. He
Hmm.
could have potentially traded a Fiatum still there, as he had 7-point Fiatum, and doing that would gain him at least up to 9. It would be a 1-point loss unless he was at mod 2 silvers. Um,
Yep.
but
So now Mick is going to make this game take as long as humanly possible. He probably traders the fort. Wait, what did he? No, that was. Oh gosh, that was really. So I'm not sure. Mick played pretty quickly there, but he could have just traded the fortress, gotten 4 silver, and then continued on. But instead, he traded a silver, and he just has less silver now.
yeah, well, he traded an estate for 2
Oh,
silvers,
oh, oh, he traded a state for 2 silver.
which is reasonable, but I don't
Yeah.
think buying provinces is a winning line for Mick here.
Now
So
Mick, yeah,
he's kind of
not
given up, it feels like.
yeah. Now Mick is down by 24 points. His deck isn't really humming. Um, so I think DG should be able to close this one out at his leisure.
Yeah, DG does have a $4 turn here, which doesn't really get him anywhere. He can buy that last
I
silver.
probably buys the last silver. Let's see if he takes some time to try and count to see if it makes a difference.
He did not buy the last silver. He picked up a storeroom. He maybe
Okay,
knows that it doesn't make a difference. He could have
right.
watched
That makes
the
sense.
when his threshold went up earlier in the game to have an idea there. Mick gets a second duchy. Um, DG
So
has a
Mick's,
$7 hand here, so
yeah, I do feel like Mick
grabs another storeroom. If he can get some double duchy turns, he might be able to get ahead enough on those to make a difference, but it
But
just
his deck is just not
does not seem
is
likely.
not in fighting form.
Yeah. He's got 3 of them.
So DG can just mill the last silver out of supply if he wants to, which I think he probably does.
Yeah, I think he chose
Oh.
not to. I think that would have been a good decision, because if that silver is gone, which there will be other opportunities to get rid of it.
It makes it a lot easier for him, yeah.
Yeah, but it also means that Mick can't run the duchies out, and if Mick gets, a 5th duchy and then starts going for dukes, DG could also end the game by purchasing those duchies that are remaining.
Right. Generally speaking, when you're ahead on points, lower piles benefit you.
Yeah.
Because when Mick wins this game takes like 30 minutes to play out,
Mm-hmm.
And half the time, and probably most of the time, even if you did play it out for 30 minutes, DG would still win. Okay.
Yeah. And here we can see that milling that silver would have been the right decision. The game would be over right here. Mick was able to double duke, but it doesn't matter.
And so here now DG can take the mill line and pick up a duke if he wants to.
Or just buy the silver. Maybe he doesn't see it. That would be extremely confusing, but yeah, he buys the silver.
Yeah.
Right. Mick is now in must-win situation.
Mm-hmm. So Mick has to take this one down.
I was going to recommend to the players, although it didn't. I didn't have an opportunity, that Mick should start the first game to give him a advantage and make this go longer, but that's all right.
All right. It looks like we have a large number of spectators on the Making Fun client. On 2017. I'm counting around 30 spectators. So pretty good turnout. Thank you for watching, everyone. And now we get to see so DG just needs to tie any of the remaining games to be the 3rd champion of Dominion League.
Yeah, so this is actually an exciting time here. If Mick doesn't win out, then we have our first new champion since probably the 2nd or 3rd. I don't know when Mick and Steph got their first wins each, but we've got
the 3rd champ. I can tell you for sure that the first season one of them won.
Yes.
Yeah, so this board, there's Chapel. The events are also quite strong in Summon and Training. There's also Scrying Pool, and Scrying Pool draws a lot of cards.
Yeah, Scrying Pool is a card that you might call ridiculous. The payload is not huge here. There's not a village.
You probably want +5.
Yeah, there's not a village to play the wine merchants unless I'm missing something. There's summon. You can summon advisors to be able to play more wine merchant payloads.
Oh gosh, does that work? If you summon an advisor, that gives you an action that you could use to play like a new. So you can summon for an action to get a buy to like return the buy. So I guess very technically speaking, if you want to summon an advisor every turn, you can have a village. And you need to use that village to buy a messenger. It's possible.
Yeah, I suppose that's.
I think DG has a pretty clear messenger chapel here. Maybe not, but it's an option. You could make a second chapel.
Yeah, I think the second chapel at no opportunity cost doesn't really hurt that much, but it is another dead card that needs to be trashed. If Mick gets good draws with it, though, it could accelerate his trashing. And then you have to be careful not to trash too much. But
the other option is to open potion, but I know that JSH is in chat, and he's certainly rooting for a messenger opening here.
Yeah, there is a interesting play with Masquerade too. You have to be careful not to get too thin, or you're going to have to start passing things you don't want to over to your opponents. But I think contrary to what Scrying Pool likes, we'll probably see a little bit of treasure payload here, maybe 1 gold or 2. Because, I mean, you got Messenger and Wine Merchant as your terminal payloads. But
Yeah, and JSH as the messenger master here is pointing out that you can messenger yourself a survivors, which is 80% of the time going to be in your own unique card, which increases the number of points that you can get from Fairgrounds, which is actually not on the board.
yeah, unfortunately,
So
it's not on this
that
one.
that is spoken from the master of messenger himself.
Yeah.
I don't think DG is going to make that play. I do think he has a tough decision here because he can messenger, or another option is potion. And I was going to say it's not crazy to play Masquerade Money here, but I'm going to revise that statement. It is crazy to play Masquerade Money here. Mostly because of Familiar. If Familiar wasn't here, I don't think it would be so crazy, but I think Familiar makes it so you can't. And Scrying Pool also slows down money. And thanks to Wandering Winder in chat, he points out that it's actually slightly more than 80% that you get your own unique survivors due to the finite pile of ruins. And that is true.
Yeah, that's because after you take the survivors on top, there are only 4 survivors left and 5 of all the other cards that could potentially be under it.
So we have a potion opening from DG. He decides he doesn't want to messenger out another Chapel. Mick, I guess he could messenger a potion here if he wanted to. He could also just take a potion. Okay, so no messengers in the opening. Mick gets the worst possible 5 cards that he could see.
Yeah, this is absolutely disastrous with 1
and
P.
So now he has Chapel and 4 copper, and the thing to note here is that if he Chapels this copper, it's going to be really difficult for him to pick up. Oh, Scrying Pool is only 2 potion. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, so it's almost impossible. Wow. Yeah, it's really bad.
Yeah, completely missing that is bad. Now, yeah, we see DG get a not great draw either with his Chapel and potion colliding.
So I'd be curious what chat's thoughts and what your thoughts are here. Do you like trash a potion and pick up a Scrying Pool, or do you just bite the bullet and trash the copper?
Yeah, I mean, you could choose to grab a Familiar and skip trashing here.
See what he does. Oh, wow. Wait.
He played Chapel and trashed nothing? I wonder if that was a mistake.
Okay, I think we're going to see an undo 76 come through here.
Yeah.
I imagine that Chapel play 2 copper is going to be a undo.
Okay, so
and I think that they need to undo each copper play individually.
Yeah, they're probably not going to mess with slash undo 3 anymore.
Right, yeah.
Given what happened before, they'll just do them individually.
Okay, so DG takes the conservative line and trashes 3 copper. That's generally what you want to do. And yeah, so actually the draws actually kind of even out. DG probably takes a raise here. Wow, and so Mick actually got a very good draw. So now the players look like they're maybe back to around even.
Yeah, we saw some nasty draws from both players here, and we'll see what they're able to do with it.
So now Mick picks up a pool, and he's going to pick up another pool. Like the potion is floating to the top of the shuffle quite nicely. And DG's good cards. DG's potion and Chapel are together on the bottom of the shuffle again. That hurts a lot.
Yeah, get to see these players face adversity here on this game.
Yeah, I know. Chapel games can be low variance because you get the trash, but they can also be high variance because where the chapel is in your shuffle makes a big difference.
Yeah, it can be a huge difference. I mean, Chapel turn 5 is can set you back 2 or 3 turns from where your
That
opponent
can
was.
be, yeah. And that's why, like, I think you just have to go potion on this board. But anytime I can open chapel with something like a cantrip, like a caravan guard, I like to, because that instead of 2 places the chapel can miss in the shuffle, there's only one. So you reduce disaster possibility by a factor of 2.
Mm-hmm.
But here, the scrying pools are coming out. The players are building up. Do you think that we're going to see a lot of summons this game, or do you think the players are going to go straight for messenger double province?
I don't know. It's interesting because you can use the summon to get an extra action, but you have to use that action to play a plus buy card in order to be able to have a buy to buy summon with. So
Mm-hmm.
it feels a little bit like spinning your wheels for no major gain.
So
Because
you're
especially
spinning,
since you have to
yeah.
spend the 5 coins on summon, like if summon was free and it only cost a buy, then you could get extra coins out of wine merchants or something like that by being able to play
So,
more of them.
so you're essentially making your turn super complicated so you can have a bunch of advisors or caravan guards or something.
Yeah.
Which, like, those things help scrying pool decks.
Yeah, so it might be worth it just to get those cards into your deck, but you're essentially paying $5 to have that buy. You're gonna need a little more
Yeah,
payload.
so then you need to add gold. So it's an interesting pull choice. I think a lot of it is going to come down to the style of the players in the game. I think in the end, it's like pretty similar whether whether you take the extra time to get the extra advisors and caravan guards for consistency versus not. I think it's pretty close.
Hmm. Yeah.
So it looks like DG is thinking whether he wants the razor, the chapel, or the copper. And he's going to take the chapel and probably bin a copper. So now I'm looking at how the players might get their economy going. There really aren't that many good options on this board.
Yeah, that was the one of the first things I noticed. I think that they're gonna have to add a gold or two in order to be able to even just go for like a province a turn type deck.
Yeah, I
Um,
think you're going to need a lot of gold.
Wine Merchant and Messenger both only really generate 2p unless you're doing those crazy summon tricks, in which case you still need a lot of
Hmm.
payload to afford the summons and be able to build as well. I think building to a reliable scrying pool deck that buys a province every turn might be uh, kind of one of your best options here.
Well, I would definitely like to at least at a very minimum build up to messenger so that you can buy like play a messenger or maybe a wine merchant each turn so you can buy province plus scrying pool.
Yeah,
Um,
if you can at least province plus scrying pools run out, maybe province plus caravan guard, because adding more
yeah, just
cantrips
something
into
like
your
that.
deck are gonna make them more reliable with scrying pool. Um,
Yeah, and they made the scrying pool more than any other card. Um, well, I guess sort of like other cards, but scrying pool goes very well with scrying pool.
mhm.
So like scrying pool, like just one scrying pool in a deck, like at a black market is good. But if you can get like 6, 7, 8 scrying pools in a deck, you can just draw through so much. So let's see if Mick elects to play something here. Mick does go for the messenger, exciting, and he gives out raises.
Sorry, I didn't understand
Cool.
the question
That's Amazon Echo once again chiming in.
Amazon
I,
Echo does not understand Dominion, unfortunately.
I swear I did not name my Amazon Echo Messenger. All right. And let's see. So this could also be one of the longest Dominion Championships on records because we're over 2 hours in and we have yet to even reach the half. Actually, have we? Is this game 3 or game 4?
This is game 4. DG is up 2-1.
Okay, DG is up. All right. So okay, so we are past the halfway point. Cool. Yeah, that's yeah, so the Echo Dot is essentially Amazon's version of Siri, and it can do scary things like play radio stations and buy things on Amazon without actually like without clicking or anything. You can just say like buy me socks and it will suggest the first Amazon hit for socks.
Yeah, I heard a story about somebody reporting on Amazon Echoes accidentally buying things, and in the news report they said, "Alexa, buy me a dollhouse," and a bunch of people had purchases triggered
Oh
by
no.
the news story playing on their TVs, which
Uh-huh.
is pretty hilarious.
Well, what we need is we need like you know, in case anyone's listening to this, you know, Alexa, buy Dominion first edition. No, 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 no. I I hope I don't have that coming to my house right now. I might.
Hey, I mean, another
Yeah,
copy of Dominion, you can't go wrong with that.
I actually I bought two copies of first edition when I was trying to buy Intrigue. So I had a friend come over and I gave out another copy of that. And anyway, so it looks like the players are buying scrying pools and familiars. Uh,
Yeah, the familiars are a good idea just to make your opponent draw them. It might prevent them from drawing their deck with Scrying Pool for a turn or two, but they're going to be really easy to get rid of with Chapel once the decks
mhm.
are getting cleaned up. Um,
Yeah, so getting a familiar essentially forces your opponent. Well, actually, I'm not sure. I'm not sure the familiar does a lot because now both players even have raises. Although Mick did fail to draw deck here.
yeah, and that I think is really the key. It just slows your opponent's building by maybe a turn or two, and
Oh,
not by a whole turn, but it slows down a couple of
interesting.
turns.
So Mick elected to trash the raise. I think it would have trashed the chapel there actually, and then use the extra 2 coins to pick up a caravan guard. Pretty minor point. The chapel does give Mick some security if DG elects to play multiple familiars.
Yeah, I think since at this point it's looking like he's going to be getting the entire curse pile, one curse per turn. Um, that keeping the chapel around at least until you've gotten those taken care of is going to be a pretty good idea.
Oh, and something I totally missed. Training is actually an event here, so you can just train scrying pools and it gets you a ton of money.
Yeah, so that puts you pretty easily into that buy a province and add another cantrip to your deck, possibly advisor or caravan guard,
Mm-hmm.
and helps your deck stay running smoothly as you green. Um, you're
Although
still
especially yeah,
you
especially in a big match like this, I think the players are going to think long and hard about doing the summon every turn thing.
mhm.
Because I think in the end it's pretty close. Like taking the extra turn to like summon an advisor and buy a gold, and then going to the province every turn. And if you're really careful, you can float the summon gains sort of, um, such that you're actually able to gain like 3 provinces the last turn instead of 2. Um, so so we'll see how it plays out. There's also the straightforward, just buy provinces. So DG just joined the table. Welcome to the championship, DG.
Yeah, so I guess the question, I mean, the summoning can get you more cantrips into your deck. I think that's good. I don't actually see it. You can kind of use it to delay your greening. I guess that could be kind of a good target because if you buy 3 provinces on the last turn, that means that you summoned an advisor or something and played 2 wine merchants. Um, but that
Yeah,
summon could have been a
I
green
suppose
card on the
hitting
previous turn.
16 is pretty hard. Yeah.
And yeah, hitting those high price points is going to be a little tricky here. If they train scrying pools, they'll have $5 there. But I mean, Wine Merchant and Messenger are only going to get you 2. Wine Merchant is nice. DG picked one of those up because on the last turn you can use that as a $4.
Yeah. So Chad is even talking about double summon, and I think that's going pretty wide. Like you could do it, but I think like piles run out at some point, and there are finite points here. Like there's 8 provinces in supply, so there's like typical board. There's 80 points of green in a two-player game. So you do need to hit 40. If the game had something like colonies or something like castles, then I could definitely see just like summoning until you win the split on action cards and seeing how that goes. Um, yeah, see how this plays out. With the scrying pools, the players are drawing most of their deck now. Mick, these curses are slowing Mick down a little bit.
Yeah, this is the second time we've seen him fail to draw his deck. Depending on what he's able to do with this raise, he goes ahead and trashes a curse with it, which means he's not drawing any more cards this turn. He can potentially, he goes with the Messenger as opposed to chappeling some more coppers. And he does have 6, enough for training potentially.
So he likes to go for a scrying pool. I think I like the pool.
Yeah, pool, and he can pick up an advisor or caravan guard here potentially.
Maybe even silver. It really depends.
Yeah, I think he wants to stay away from silver at this point with the fact that he's failing to draw his deck still.
And that like the curses are hurting, yeah. The caravan guard only adds one coin every other turn, so it's very light payload.
Yeah. Now on this board, if you manage to draw them into your starting hand, they are going to trigger guaranteed because of the scrying.
They do, yeah. So that gives you a guaranteed one coin. So it's going to be slightly more than every other turn.
Yeah. I'm going to go back and talk about raise a little bit. There was a question about it in the chat because these newer cards are not 100% familiar with everyone. Raise will trash a card, and then you get to choose one card from the top of your deck out of the number of cards equal to the cost of the card you trashed. So it's not a great defense against curses. Playing a raise and trashing a curse or a copper drops your hand size by 2. If you trash a card that has value, then you get to kind of have some filtering and pick the best card out of the top, however many in the top of your deck. Like if you trash an estate, you get the best card out of your top 2. But that still reduces your hand size by 1 as a cantrip trasher. You can choose to get through without reducing hand size by trashing the raise itself because it's coming out of play instead of from your hand. But for those reasons, it's not a good defense against curses, and it wouldn't really stand up against familiar all on its own very well. You would still want to be involved in a familiar game if that was what the type of board was.
I think on this particular, like generally, like you'd rather be the one cursing than the one like junk dealing.
Yeah.
But on this board, if both players are drawing deck with scrying pool, if one player gets 2 familiars and the other player gets 2 raises, they can take 2 curses in, and then the 2 raises will trash those 2 curses. Problems only come up if one of the decks stalls, and like if the raised deck stalls, then all of a sudden it's flooded with curses, and it'll stall more.
Yeah.
But in equilibrium, one raise defends against one familiar, assuming both players draw deck.
Yeah, that's a good point. If you can draw your deck, then doesn't
wait,
matter.
I'm sorry. How did DG not pick up? Oh, he didn't pick up a training because he picked up summon on. What did he summon?
Let's go look. He summoned a caravan guard.
But he doesn't even have. Yeah, I think I'm a little bit confused by that. I really like training on scrying pool there into like something like summon next turn.
Yeah, he
We'll
might be
see.
thinking that he wants to play as Wine Merchant and still get to trash with Chapel next turn. I don't know how many dead cards he
Yeah,
has
maybe hit with a
remaining.
copper. The
Um,
thing is that training is just really, really good. Like for Mick, like training scrying pool gives 6 coins in his deck. And it doesn't even take up a slot. So it's like having 2 gold and 2 labs to draw them.
mhm.
So that's something like 22 coins of value you know, for 6. So it's a really big spike for Mick.
Yeah.
For DG, it only gives +4 right now if he trainings scrying pool. But again, I don't think that training is ignorable on this particular board.
Yeah, I mean, you get a good chunk of payload from that, and the payload is really hard to come by here, so I do agree that training is going to be really important here.
So he has 11. He only really wants to spend 9. This could be a good spot for him to train. Uh, he could also be thinking about training caravan guards instead.
Yeah, that's a direction you can go here. You can try to get more than 5 advisors or caravan guards. The caravan guards are still kind of tricky because, like we were talking about before, unless they're in your hand at the start of the turn and you get to play them off the scrying pool, you're
Okay, so
only going to
wait,
see those every other turn.
so he ooh, this is dicey from DG. He plays a wine merchant and then goes wine merchant and buys a summon on a caravan guard. But crucially, he only had 1 coin left over. So this gives him 2 actions to play 2 wine merchants, but the other wine merchant is still on his tavern map. He didn't have the 2 coins.
Yeah, he may be, since he's gotten the second wine merchant, he can now be a little bit more efficient, as you can play the wine merchants and only pay 2 to discard both of them. Um, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world to leave that wine merchant on the mat since he picked up another one, because this turn will look very similar to his previous ones with 1 wine merchant, but then he should easily be able to discard both of them, and if he continues with this summon line, then um, he'll be able to play both of them on the future turns.
Yeah, I do think that this is opening up a window for Mick to get back in this. And even now, like, so Mick went training on 6 scrying pools, so Mick's a lot stronger right now.
Yeah, the do operator made a really good point in the spectator chat about training on caravan guard. It's actually an exceptionally bad target because you're only going to see that when you play it on your turn, and then those caravan guards don't come back the next turn. And if you play them out
Oh,
of
yeah.
turn, gaining a coin on your opponent's turn doesn't do you any good because
No,
the board is wiped clean when your turn starts. Um,
that is a good point. I did not even think that caravan card is played on your opponent's turn, not your own. Actually, that could be the only way to generate coins on your opponent's turn, actually. Um, I don't think I've ever seen coins generated on my opponent's turn. Uh, see, so Mick here, he has 13 in a potion with 2 buys, which is quite nice. So now Mick sort of has the same decision. Does he want to do this summon stuff where he like summons, a caravan guard and buys a wine merchant? Or does he just want to go province plus something else?
Yeah, I feel like my gut said that the province plus caravan guard, or you could even go familiar. There's still curses out there. Was kind of the end game that I envisioned.
Mm-hmm.
Not trying to do the fancy summon tricks.
And I think they're very close. Okay. Oh, Mick goes gold. Fancy. Is he summoning a messenger then? I think that's what it's indicating.
He might just be looking to build his payload up to 16.
Hmm. Something very important got said in the chat. Philip says, "Of course, Mick went gold."
It's one of Mick's favorite cards.
Mm-hmm. Philip is notorious for not being a fan of silver, so he's lucky that he did not have to play that Feudum game earlier.
That is true. He's also not a very big fan of gold, I believe. It's only a slightly less crappy silver.
So Mick summons an advisor, and so this is interesting because this is actually going to give him an extra action which he can use with his chapel. And he does have curses in his deck, so getting a play of chapel is going to be useful for Mick here.
Yeah, it's going to be extremely good for Mick to be able to play his messenger for his plus buy and his chapel on the same turn to get this junk out. And he does have $16 of payload now, so he could potentially double province on future turns.
Yeah, it does look like the players are going pretty big here. And again, there's only 40 points of VP. 80 points of VP in supply. 48 of that is provinces. So winning the game here is, assuming piles don't run, which they probably shouldn't, it's going to be somewhere between 24 and 40 points for first place. So it looks like the players are going to build up pretty big here. So DG again has two wine merchants on the map, and he hasn't been able to it's going to be tough for him to he can't training summon and discard his wine merchants, and that's going to be tough.
Yeah, I think I would expect that to come next turn. This turn I expect him to summon something, Caravan Guard or Advisor. And then he has $4 left that he can use to buy another one of those cards.
There we go. Yeah.
Discard both wine merchants, and then next turn he's going to have a lot of money to work with, and he can probably afford the training.
That's right. So he wants to have 2 left over to discard his wine merchants. He's going to want to summon, I don't know, like a cantrip, and then he can go up to 9. So he could get an advisor or a caravan guard if he wanted to.
Well, it looks like he's going to go ahead and go with the training on this turn.
He bought training this turn?
So that means he might buy a caravan guard along with it. He does choose to put it on Scrying Pool, which he has 4 of.
I think the Scrying Pool makes sense. This does mean that buying the training this turn means that he's only going to be able to play one wine merchant next turn.
Yeah, he'll only be able to play 1 or none if he chooses to summon again here, because he won't be able to discard his Caravan Guard, which would probably be a pretty big mistake because, and he does buy the Caravan Guard. If he had chosen to summon here, he wouldn't have any plus buy next turn for his increased payload from the training buy.
Yeah. So, certainly a slightly inefficient build path. Let's see if Mick can capitalize.
Yeah, I really expect the gold that Mick bought last turn signals to me that he's anticipating greening soon.
So it's sort of, so now the first question was, do you go more of a single province deck or more of a double province deck? The players are heading toward double province, so now once you're at double province, it's like, well, do you want to double or do you want to triple? And that remains to be seen, because if you hit 16, you could start going for the double summon line.
Yeah, I think building to the triple is a little far-fetched. We might see someone try it, but as soon as you triple province, your triple province shuts down, though, because you didn't summon.
Right. So the triple province line is going to be like you buy 1 province and then build up with an extra summon, which then spikes you up to, threatening a triple.
Yeah.
So,
but they're also a fair amount off of the triple province payload. Right now, Mick is sitting at about 16. It depends on where his caravan guards are, and I think he probably wants to trash the curses and coppers right now, so that's gonna also lower the payload that he had fully stretched last turn. Right
Yeah.
now we are looking at 14, I guess.
I think
Appears.
I'm counting a bit more than that. Are you counting the messenger?
Oh, 15. He
Yeah,
trashed the coppers.
he trashed the copper, so now he has
Mhm.
13, I believe. He trashes the potion as well.
Yeah, and 13 is correct. He did not play the caravan guard. It's a little bit
Hmm.
odd.
So he held the caravan guard. Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised by that actually. Oh, caravan. Oh yeah, caravan guard says at the start of your next turn.
Mhm.
I sort of want to see if he's buying a gold. I sort of want to see like summon messenger or something. Get that extra buy-in. We'll see.
Yeah, so he does buy another. He buys another gold that puts him back at $16 a payload without the caravan guard being required. So he can hit 16 every turn now. Um,
So now, yeah. So now it's a question of like, does he want to like do summon nonsense? I think that DG is pretty well set up for summon nonsense with the wine merchants.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think the summon is good here because he's only got one buy, and what he really wants is one of those cantrip cards.
mm,
So, and I guess I just had the thought he probably chose not to play that caravan guard because it improves his drawing for his next turn. If that caravan guard is in play, um, then it can't be used to be drawn with scrying pool and
absolutely.
draw stop cards. So we'll
And so with
probably
this
see him.
particular draw, you can see that despite having six scrying pools in a deck like this, there's only one scrying pool in hand right now.
Yeah, and
So this is gonna be a dud for Mick unless he can find a scrying pool under that chapel.
I don't think there are very many stop cards left in his deck, so I think he probably will draw most everything here. Actually, there are no more treasures in his deck, right? Because he's got $8 with two golds and a silver,
Oh, so is he just gonna
$6 on the
pick up?
scrying pool, and two
Is
on
he just gonna
messenger.
pick up those 9 cards? He
I
might.
believe so. And then he'll run into that curse, and he will not be able to. Oh no, he did summon, so he'll be able to chapel the curse, and potentially buy two provinces.
So he has DG now.
Or he might stick with a single province and summoning until he needs to threaten DG with more points.
I do have to say I like summoning with wine merchant because then if you have multiple wine merchants in play, you get to make use of more of their coins.
Yeah,
Um, you get more of a refund there.
absolutely.
So DG is going to be the first one to go for green with the province. Perfect summon. Yeah, so he's summoning a caravan guard. So DG draws first blood on the provinces, and this game is going back and forth, but overall it looks pretty good for DG here. Okay, here's Mick. Yeah, Mick picks up the entire pile. And now let's see. And DG has 4 scrying pools in hand, so he's going to be able to draw everything.
Yeah, and he will get to play both wine merchants this turn.
Mick is again refusing to play the caravan guard, which I don't like. I would just assume I'm drawing deck here. Oh, and Mick actually has a perfect. Yeah, he has perfect 16, so Mick is going to be able to double every turn.
Yeah,
Assuming his deck stays together.
yeah. And I think we.
Oh, so he's not playing the caravan guard because he knows that he doesn't need the 17th coin.
Yeah, and we'll
I
see him
gotcha.
continue to not play those caravan guards because. Unless he has to in order to draw his deck, because they are
Hmm.
more useful in his deck than they are on the table. To improve his scrying pool draw and make
Right,
it less likely that he duds.
because he built a deck that smoothly hits 16 pretty tight.
Hmm.
Um, so now the question is like, um, with decks like this, a lot of times what happens is you can Dutchy dance pretty effectively. Um, so it's possible that the players deny, like maybe the players might leave something like 2 or 3 provinces in supply. And it's possible to see a lot of Dutchies come out here for sure. It
Yeah,
really depends.
yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see. I think that these decks capacity for stop cards is actually kind of low. Mick does have the 6 grind pools, which helps, but each scrying pool finds one stop card. So, like we saw last turn, Mick had exactly one stop card in his deck, and he drew everything with one scrying pool. But as those stop cards grow higher than your number of scrying pools, then you end up needing to start using the cantrips. Now, if they keep going after provinces this hard, the game is going to end before that's a problem. But if they try to drain the duchy pile, I think we might see a dud turn come from one of them.
Yeah. Well, I think like scrying pool decks certainly green better than like village smithy engines or anything like that. You can throw junk in and they still work, and scrying pool's always going to be fine, even if it whiffs a little bit. But the concern so what's going to happen is that players are going to rush down the first couple of provinces now, and then as soon as you get to 2 or 3 provinces in supply, almost like chess, you can figure out, okay, if my opponent draws his whole deck, he can gain 16 point, 12 points in a turn or whatever it is. Is it safe for me to lower the provinces by 1? If I take a province, I take a point lead of this much, my opponent buys 2 provinces, does he win here? And so here, the way it's looking, so DG is taking a 7-point lead. So if Mick takes a province here, he could be okay. So Mick takes a province here. DG, I think, just doesn't have enough money in his deck to double. He has 4 pools, 4 wine merchant. Yeah, so DG needs. If DG draws deck, he's gonna have 15. And so Mick, we'll see if Mick is tracking closely enough to notice that.
Yeah, Mick is. So there was some talk about a tie. I feel like there was a gain short for that to happen. Oh wait, no, it was Curse and 2 Caravan Guards, I believe, is the tie that they saw that DG had available to him. Wait, except he needed a province too. I think he only had 4 gains. Oh, Messenger. It was Messenger, Caravan Guards, Curse and Province. I had missed the call.
This is why we have chat. So if DG just took that, he would be the champion, right?
Exactly.
Wow. So JSH proving once again. I'm pretty sure that, all that's happening this entire game is that JSH is just figuring out all the different things that you can do with Messenger on this board. Yeah. So, JSH, maybe we can time travel to an alternate universe where DG took home the championship with Messenger Caravan Guard. But as played, looks like Mick is safely going to be able to take a province here, probably province duchy, and that's going to be really hard for DG to beat.
Yeah, I think the trick is, I guess he was able to trash the curse with Raise, but DG is going to have a line next turn similar to the one that they just talked about, and he could actually win with it.
Wait.
Because
Mick trashed Mick trashed a curse. Okay.
Yeah, he trashed the curse with Raise, but next turn, if DG plays his familiar, Mick will be down by a point. Now, I guess we'll see what Mick does here.
Yeah, one thing to note is that DG only has 15 coins in his deck. And the players, as a commentator, I can say that with confidence. If I was playing, I'd check the trash really carefully. But I'm pretty sure that he has 3 coins from wait. DG gets 6 coins from Caravan Guards?
Wait, he played a ton of Caravan Guards last
turn.
Oh,
he played them all that turn. Oh, sorry. I assumed that he had 3 Caravan Guards in play. Okay. This is why commentating's great. All right, then DG just has it, right? If he has 7 coins from Caravan Guards at the start.
Yeah, I think he does not have the ability to play both wine merchants, but does he have the money already? It looks like he does.
Yeah, he has 9 in play and 8 in hand. Okay.
He actually only needs a Duchy and Messenger Caravan Guard as well if he saw that line, but he has enough for the double province again.
All right. So DG takes it.
That is so. DG
Congratulations
is the
to
new
our
champion.
Season 18 champion of Dominion League. He is the third champion, joining the likes of Steph and Mick, and 18 seasons. Wow.
It only took Steph leaving the league. And excellent play from DG. We don't want to downplay his achievement here.
Yeah, very well played by DG. I think typically we continue playing all 6 matches. We'll see what the players want to do here.
Yeah, it'll depend a little on the players' willingness, but yeah, it comes down to usually we go ahead and play these out as consolation games, and they will hopefully go a little faster if they do it, because they don't care as much, so they play a little faster once it's decided.
Yeah, all right, and congratulations again to DG. Looks like Mick's ready to get into Game 5. And DG disappeared again. So I hope he's okay. I hope he's not being like repeatedly kidnapped or something. It's probably just a spotty internet connection. And he's back.
DG
I like to invent some sort of like alternate reality where DG's like I don't know, like trying to play Dominion Championships under duress, and he's like beating people up and then like playing his caravan cards. I think it's more likely his internet connection's a little bit spotty. Well, DG's player 1, he has 5 coins and Dame Anna's on the board. That's a pretty good combination of events.
And not sure if it's good, but I just see Market Square there is one of the first thing that pops out, so you can pair some Market Squares with Dame Anna. If that is good here, I don't see any non-treasure payloads, so it might be good. There's not spectacular draw or actions. You got some Crossroads Watchtower going on, but your actions are limited to 3 terminals.
And Knights are pretty good here too. Like they hit pretty much everything.
They do not hit Fool's Gold.
Yeah.
So Dame Anna into Fool's Gold might actually be kind of decent.
I suppose you could play a Fool's Gold engine. I do think, like I would expect to see some sort of Crossroads engine here, and so DG does open up with Dame Anna. Sentry's also pretty good for trashing in the 5 slot. So let's see how lucky he gets with Dame Anna. On 2, I think I'd expect to see a Crossroads here. Yeah.
What's Mick looking at with a 4-3 start?
It's a good question. Probably at least 1 silver. And then you could see something like a Watchtower. Market Square is interesting. That's actually going to trigger if Dame Anna actually trashes one of Mick's cards.
If Dame Anna trashes Mick's turn 2 buy, because right now Market Square is the only card Dame Anna can trash.
Sort of indicates to me that Mick might want to go with a Watchtower, because you can like buy a curse and trash it to trigger the Market Square.
Yeah, that is true. You have to collide your Watchtower and Market Square to make that happen, but I think the Market Square as defense against Knights is actually a pretty decent thing, even though it's there aren't really any trashable cards in his deck yet.
Let's see if he goes. Does he go silver or Watchtower?
He opened double Market Square. He's
going
spicy. Heavy Knights defense, and then he draws $2 on turn 3, which is probably not ideal.
Okay, so Mick's next draw is guaranteed to be 3 copper to Market Square. Oh, and DG is actually going straight into Fool's Gold. Okay.
Yeah.
On 5, I think I do like a Sentry here. Just cleans everything up, gets a high fool's gold density. And
Yeah.
Mick has two.
Yeah, and the
This
Sentry will also be good later to filter and line up Fool's Golds more reliably.
hmm I'm a little bit curious about the double markets we're opening here. It seems like they're not good turn one, so you have to figure that there's some sort of later build path
Mm-hmm.
that's being looked at. Like if you can get a sentry in there. Like the thing with double market square that I don't like is it makes it hard to hit five for cards that I like sentry. I love sentry. And it's really good at triggering market squares and doing all that stuff. So let's see. And I think it's also worth noting is that in the late game there is a crossroads engine available. Although I guess you can only play so many crossroads.
Yeah, you
But
could pick up Dame Molly to get a fourth terminal action, in addition to the Crossroads, possibly, but you'd have to dig for that, and there's no guarantee it's near the top of the pile, so... Mick going heavy on market squares discourages DG from digging into the knights too much also, because if you start hitting a lot of cards in a heavily filled market square deck, you're just going to flood them with gold, and I don't think the engine is strong enough to handle an opponent that you just hand tons of economy.
okay, so Mick, after picking up a silver, does get this entry. Daemon is going to come out again, trashing what I assume is a copper, and this is 8. Could
Yep,
be. He just goes straight for the province. All right.
yeah, I think that greening early is a pretty good choice on this board.
And
The
it's worth noting that the Fool's Gold deck that DG is playing is pretty immune to knights, which is the main thing that's going to slow the game down. DG has loads of Fool's Gold here.
Yeah, I think his trashing probably could have gone a little bit better, but otherwise he's going to be in pretty strong position here to hit 8 really reliably with those Fool's Golds. See what direction Mick is building. He's picked up a gold, he has 2 sentries, so he may have a pretty reliable deck also here really soon, but DG is going to have a pretty good head start jump on that greening. Mick also has a couple crossroads. He's probably going to look to play the engine a bit. We'll get to see
Yeah,
how
I
well it
think.
can work.
Yeah, okay. So he's picking up sentries. A lot of sentries here. So, yeah, you sort of got to figure that from Mick's perspective here, DG has a deck that's going to pick up like a province every other turn or so, maybe more. Mick's just going to need to go big, hope those Silk Roads. Yeah. How big can he get Silk Roads? Could probably pick up maybe 16 green cards here, so maybe 4-point Silk Roads. So, Mick's going to try and go big. Ooh. And Daemona connects.
Yeah, and with no market squares in hand either to build some more buffer into that deck. See, he goes ahead and loses the sentry, which he has some redundancy on, and keeps the watchtower.
Interesting play for sure. See, okay, so here's Crossroads. Ooh, that's data sentry. He'd like to trigger the market square, I think. So you can trash a copper here, probably. Might even trash the silver. He discards the silver, okay. 3 takes a scheme. All right. So, DG is applying the threat here. He's buying a province every turn. And Mick needs to... I like to call it nonsense. Mick needs to pull out some nonsense here to make the game take forever and make these Silk Roads connect. See if he can do it.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what he can do here. He's going to be in a 4-province hole, or 3, I
So
guess.
so
He
so
picks
he
one
does
up this
elect to
turn.
take province. So and on 2, does he take a crossroads or he takes the estate? Um, so Mick is going for a shorter game here. That's his judgment.
Yeah, he's just gonna need some dud turns from DG and
Yeah,
um,
and DG's deck, is pretty nice here. He's got a bunch of fool's gold. Um, and if he draws 3 fool's gold together, like that's just a province right there. And there's only 3 left in supply.
mhm.
Mixing the whole 15 points, so he's probably got to head into Silk Roads here pretty soon.
Yeah, I think he's gonna have a real hard time getting those Silk Roads worth enough to make a difference for him.
Points. Yeah.
But
So does he? I wonder if he see what he top decks with this scheme.
the Crossroads do make that Silk Road deck a lot more resilient to the greening.
Right. And DG misses with his Market Square. That's a big deal. This game very well could come down to the distribution of Fool's Gold in DG's deck, and DG duds again.
DG
Um,
chooses to deny Silk Roads as opposed to grabbing duchies. If DG piles provinces the way he really needs to plan to, he
yeah, Mick only has 12 points here.
and this is probably another fool's gold for DG at $3, but
Yeah,
he could
I think
consider.
I think he has 4 Fool's Gold. Yeah, in the bottom 6 cards.
He chose to buy a scheme, which is interesting
Does he
choice.
have like I think his only action is Market Square?
He has some market squares and he has Day Mana. He could be
Hmm.
choosing to scheme Day Mana, which could be good to get
Oh
the
wow, nice
couple of
draw
bad
from Mick.
cards that he has left out of his deck. But
It doesn't actually do that much, but it's double Silk Road, and those are going to tick up pretty soon. Yeah, and so now double ski means top deck Sentry Crossroads, and let's see, does he? Oh, he's top decking the Silk Roads actually. Interesting.
oh yeah, to pair with the Crossroads, interesting. Mick loses a market square here, which lowers his max gains. He does still have 2 of them, I guess, so that's good to see.
Hmm.
DG now has 5 of the provinces, which is a solid foothold for him. We'll see if Mick can build these Silk Roads up and manage to avoid dud turns.
I think this is looking, yeah. So DG has so in 16 cards he has can't actually see the Fool's Gold counter right now, but he's something like 8 Fool's Gold in 16 cards. So you know he's dudding here, I think for sure. Um, so this is going to let Mick pick up double Silk Road. He cannot top deck them. Um, but he's getting really close to a tick up.
Yeah, he's got 1 Crossroads left in those 8 cards, I believe. Top decking the Silk Roads there might have been a little bit risky anyway. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the Silk Roads pan out, whether Mick can get them built up enough to overtake this province lead. DG gets a pretty solid draw here with Crossroads with his 2 provinces.
Oh, that's really nice.
And I guess I didn't realize that DG had a Crossroads, so Mick was down to his last one. He must have schemed that Crossroads on the previous turn.
So here's scheme. Ooh, dud turn from Mick. That hurts.
But I think that estate just bumped up his points because he got a lot of points for it.
Right. So that was his tick. So now 4 green cards. Oh, and DG misses. DG for sure has a province next turn. Think I think 5 or 6.
Yeah, but
Oh,
that Day Mana just hurt a lot. He just hit Mick's Silk Road.
that and then that bumps Mick back down to 22.
Yeah, because he lost his threshold and he lost his Silk Road, so that was a really big hit.
Hmm.
He will get his bump back up as soon as he buys another green card, but
Yeah, so Gigi's gonna have, I think, 3 to 5 Fool's Gold in hand here. So that's pretty good for him. Mick, these copper are slowing him down for sure. If he could have trashed a little bit more and got those copper out, the Crossroads engine would be a lot better.
and that's something we see with Sentry not being a very reliable trasher to get the last 2 or 3 dead cards out of your
The
deck.
last couple of cards. And notably, DG here has 3 Fool's Gold in hand. I believe he has 2 on top of his deck. So this game could be over pretty quickly.
Yeah, and I was going to ask what you thought DG should top deck last turn. He had a choice of keeping like a Crossroads around, which looks like would have been a mistake, obviously, but Daymana has the potential to hit those Silk Roads, so that was what I was expecting.
Which is pretty big. Although with five 5 Fool's Gold in 7 cards, it's reasonable. Daymana worked out great here, of course. So Mick's back up to 30.
Yep, he bought 2 estates to get that bump back up to the next Silk Road threshold. We'll see what Daymana hits this time. Dame takes out the Scheme, which is going to
That's fine.
hurt Mick's reliability a little bit, but
So
not gonna
notably,
be too terrible.
DG's next hand starts with 2 Fool's Gold in it. If he realizes that, he might just go Province and then try and hit another one. Did his hand actually start with 2 Fool's Gold?
I don't know how the cards come into the hand on this client. On the old one,
Oh,
we used to actually be able to tell what order
Yeah,
things.
so he does have 2 Fool's Gold. It's not 100% clear whether they were the top 2 cards of his deck.
But he chose not to trash the copper, which I think is interesting.
Yeah, okay. And so Mick needs to end the game here. Wow, and look at that. He has a huge draw here.
Yeah. You see, Mick did lose another Silk Road on that last turn, which makes it a lot harder.
Could hurt. He's 17 points down, but at the very least, he can draw, what is that? He can draw 9 cards here, so does he have enough?
I don't know. I think losing that Silk Road puts it out of reach for him. He's
We'll see.
down to 4 total in his deck now, maybe.
Mm-hmm. It's hard to know if a Silk Road is actually in the discard. He has 4 Silk Roads in hand.
Okay, so he's probably at 5. He got 7. DG bought 1 of them, and 2 of them have been trashed.
2 of them have been trashed. Then he has 5. So if he gets a tick up, that's up to 35 then, and then it would be something like Province Duchy, so that's like 18. And then that's a lot of points. Let's see. And I don't think that he has any way to interact with DG's hand. Mick, of course, doesn't know that DG has. Oh wow, that's a lot. He has 14 here, and 2 buys. So I don't think that's enough.
Yeah, he didn't draw his other Market Square back up, which he would have liked to have. Could have picked up another estate here for some more green cards on those Silk Roads.
And DG just ends it here.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm just looking at turn 1 of the log. DG plays 5 copper, buys Daymana. That's never something you want to see.
It is.
All right, so that's another win for DG. He's tearing this up.
Indeed.
So now I believe we're on to game 6.
Yep, this is the final game. Again, a exhibition match as DG won after the 4th, but we will get to see some more dominion between our top 2 players. And what do you think of this board?
This board, I'm just looking at it now. Again, no village. There's been very few villages. Magpie's generally not ignorable. Junk Dealer, Counterfeit, Strong Trashing, Alchemist is pretty solid as well. Hireling, Alchemist for draw, and if you're gonna have a bunch of Magpies in your deck, Horde of Plenty is looking pretty good. So the question, the question is like, what 8 cards do you take so you can threaten provinces? Like you can go Counterfeit, Magpie, Alchemist, Horn, Junk Dealer, Hireling. Looks pretty solid to me.
Yeah, Horn of Plenty counts cards in play, so the hirelings will work, I
Let's see.
believe.
Yeah,
And
Hireling actually says specifically on it, this stays in play.
yeah.
Thank you, Donald, for the very clear wording on that.
So yeah, we don't see any villages here, but we also don't really see a lot of terminals. So we've got Replace, which can be a pretty good card. Scavenger is a solid non-terminal, or solid terminal. So you're going to choose between those two for your terminal action. Counting House is obviously not a go-to here. And you've got Magpie to draw treasures, potentially Alchemist if you need more draw, and of course Hireling is kind of like the Alchemist that never fails to top deck. So
Yeah, I sort of like Alchemist after. Well, there are a couple things that are nice with Alchemist after Magpie. One is that they go on top of your deck, so your Magpie can hit your treasures. That's the like Magpie is like an amazing card, but one of the biggest drawbacks is if you have a deck of all actions, it doesn't draw much. Horn of Plenty here being treasure payload is like pretty nice. So I think we're probably going to see the players go for something pretty similar here.
yeah, I think a Horn Megaturn is definitely viable here, especially with Counterfeit. Counterfeit can multiply your Horn gains on a turn where you're trying to pile out.
So DG here on his first 4 elects for a third Magpie. Wait, did DG? Oh wait, did Nick? I'm trying to figure this out. Okay, yeah, I think that the players are just going Magpie. Someone just got a potion. So DG got. Oh no, sorry, DG got a potion on turn 3. That makes sense. Mick has Junk Dealer. Let's see. I have to imagine that a split between Junk Dealers and Counterfeits is nice here, mostly for Horn of Plenty. You could also counterfeit the Horn of Plenties to gain multiple provinces, which is definitely a thing.
Yeah.
So DG has 5, and he goes for the counterfeit. And let's see if Mick wants a hireling on 6. He goes for counterfeit. Makes a lot of sense. There's some sort of typing in the background.
Oh, sorry, that's me. I'm answering questions about the league in the chat.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Which I probably could just tell them.
Oh, yeah. You're welcome to plug the league via audio.
So there were some questions about promotion and demotion. Promotion. Oh, I just screwed up the stream there for just a second.
DG has a 6 potion hand. Sadly, possession is not on the board. He goes hireling.
Oh yeah, he might not be on the commentary. That's a good point. I will.
Oh yeah, maybe you should
continue typing.
Yeah, but I think most people watching are probably aware of Dominion League. But if you're not, it's a really great way to play Dominion, particularly against stronger competition. It's organized into a series of divisions. This is the finals of A division. There's also B, C, D, all the way down to E. If you finish first in a division, you move up a division, and if you finish in the bottom 2, you demote 1 division. You can play, it's open to everyone. You can play as many seasons as you want. Each season, you play each other player in your division in a best of 6. And yeah, and that's basically the league. You basically play Dominion, which is great.
Yeah, so here we see a mix of alchemists and hirelings. Both players have a potion, it appears. And no horns have come out yet, but I expect to see those relatively soon.
Yeah, so DG picks up the first horn. I think that's going to be pretty nice. Mick here really needs to pick up. He misses the counterfeit. That's a big deal. He now has, 10 potion and only one buy. And
Yeah,
he gets an
it's very
alchemist with it.
unfortunate that the counterfeit ended up on the bottom of his deck there.
So DG here looking solid once again. So it could be that DG not only takes the series, but also does so in a convincing fashion.
Yeah, so here we see DG get the horn into play.
Does he go horn alchemist? Yeah, he does.
He gains a
Oh,
horn with horn.
and now he has an extra buy, so he takes hireling too.
Alchemist hireling. Mick is able to get his draw through this turn, so that is good. But he is in the hole on the horns by 2. So DG's gains are going to start exploding here. His deck is going to get better exceptionally fast. Now, there's not a ton of engine components you can gain with the horns because you can only play one hireling every turn. So you can't really explode, and you can't gain the alchemists with them either. So they're really going to be serving a very primary purpose of gaining those provinces to end the game.
Mick goes for replace, which is interesting. Could be getting that as a unique card name.
Yeah, it is interesting to see the replace. He may feel that he's got enough hirelings to make his deck tick now. He will also be able to buy alchemist pretty much every turn.
Yeah.
He may
One thing.
be considering replacing the junk dealer. I'm not sure what. I'm interested to see what he ends up doing with it.
Yeah. Because you do need unique card names. One thing to note about these horn decks is once you buy a province, you can't undo it. So what that means is that you're going to see the players build up quite a bit without actually getting points because, they're going to get more and more horn buys. So endgame considerations definitely come into effect here.
Watno says, except now you can't undo it. Yeah, I think the point we were attempting to make there is that it's a one-shot. You can't gain provinces every turn with your horns. It's a explosive payload for a one-time use. Try to drain the entire board. Lots of times you can't drain the whole pile of provinces, so one player may get behind and have to take a risk and gain some, or players just build until the point where they can drain 3 piles from the supply and pick up 1 or 2 provinces, whatever they need.
Yeah, so here I think that the horn split is 5-1.
It is. So DG picked up 3 more last turn, which.
So if DG picks up 6 provinces, that's 36 points. That's almost game right there. I'm assuming he counterfeits one of the horns. Yeah, so this although Mick, I guess replace actually gives out curses, which means that 40 points isn't just game, but certainly not good.
Yeah, so DG could potentially take 6 provinces and pretty much lock the game up next turn if he.
But he might just want to play it safe and just get all 8 in one turn.
Yeah,
it's probably the safest.
We'll
it's either 6 or 0, I think.
Yeah, we'll see next turn where his draw's at. Actually, if he counterfeits a Horn of Plenty and has enough to buy one, he could even get 7 this turn.
7, and then
So you'd
and
have
if you have 7 provinces in your deck, that's 42 points. All you need to do at that point is make sure you don't have too many curses in your deck.
Yeah, you just have to buy as many points as Mick is able to give you curses. Which Mick is...
Yeah,
I guess he could turn magpies into duchies to give out curses, but we'll see what line DG takes. He could potentially... I don't think Mick has a way to get a sneaky pile out if DG takes one more Horn of Plenty here this turn in order to get all 8 provinces. We also will need to keep an eye on where his draw is at, because
I suppose technically he might not draw his entire deck.
there are a lot of stop cards in there with the Horn of Plenties. Some of it probably depends on magpie luck. If he can find his Horn of Plenties with his magpies, then he has a better chance of drawing everything. And so he gets through with 1 or 2 cards. It looks like 2 cards of overdraw this turn.
Yeah, his magpies hit, which is nice.
Most of his magpies hit.
Oh, sorry. I'm watching the Twitch stream, so I'm actually a few seconds behind. Okay, back. So he has everything here. So let's check for win. So he has 4 actions, and he has 4 different treasures. Yes, if he counterfeits the horn, then he can gain 6 provinces with the horns. Yeah, so he does have the option of taking 6 provinces here, and neutering his economy. I'm not. This is getting dicey.
Yeah, I think that the safer play is probably to pick up 1 more horn and plan to drain them next turn.
He could also take a province. He sort of has to be concerned with different lines that Mick might have, like gaining the horns in the estates or gaining the horns in the hirelings. Probably horn estate, maybe horn hireling. Or Mick could just gain like 4, 5, 6 provinces. So,
well,
of course,
the problem is Mick only
not
has
all those
2
things
horns.
are possible. Mick only has 2 horns. Okay,
or 3.
So,
he has 3.
DG can probably find a line that gets around all that, but he does need to think about it.
Yeah, and the chat was thinking that he could get 7, and I had mentioned that he might be able to, but he does not have enough economy to buy one, which is what I was
he only has 7 behind. If he had 1 more copper, I do like just taking 7 provinces, and that should just be game. As played, if it's 6 provinces, like, I guess maybe he does take 6. I don't know. What happens if he takes 6 provinces here?
He can do 6 in a duchy, no points out, which is pretty solid. The problem is his economy is neutered, so then he's limping to the finish line. And I really don't think Mick has a line to get
he could buy a duchy,
the hirelings or anything. So
and then he has
1 more horn, and maybe even pick up 1 more horn, 1 more alchemist, and a silver or something, or gold even, to be able to get all 8 next turn.
Yeah, I do think I like going for points here. Oh wait, Mick still has 3 points. Oh, that's from a duchy. Okay.
Yeah, Mick replaced his junk dealer with a duchy last turn.
Let's see what DG does. Okay, so he is going for a bunch of provinces, which I like. Yeah, now he has 1.
Interesting. The do operator makes a really good point in the chat. If you were going to build 1 more card, buying a counterfeit instead of a horn is safer, because it leaves the piles higher. It also gets you that extra dollar you need by counterfeit to gain the 8 on the next turn.
So Mick here is in a tough spot, although we'll see how well DG calculated this. He's down by 27 points, and let's see who's first player. So Mick is first player, so he actually needs 31 points here. So that's all the provinces, puts him to 21. and then he needs 3 duchies and an estate, or he needs to do something with replace, and maybe he has it. Like,
Yeah, he does have 2 counterfeits and 3 horns. That's 5 gains, plus some money, and he's got plenty of buys with replace. He could even replace his duchy to duchy, which would give out a curse and remove the need to buy that estate.
so now the question is, does Mick have the number of unique cards? Because he's going to need to replace. So I think he needs to play a Horn of Plenty on something that's not a victory card here, because he needs the unique card names.
Oh yeah, he has to
Because he
play
has 4 actions, so he needs to actually play a counter. What does he do? He actually needs to play
1, 2, 3,
Horn,
4,
gaining like a
5,
Horn.
6, 7.
Yeah.
No, I think he's okay. He's got 3 actions in play. If he plays the replace, that's 4. Copper is 5.
Uh-huh.
Silver is 6. Counterfeit is 7. And then the
Right.
horn will be in play until it trashes. Or I guess the second gain
Right.
of the horn
Yeah.
won't
So the
work.
second gain of the Horn from the counterfeit, like counterfeit actually trashes it after the first
Yeah,
play.
the
So
horn
so so
trashes
so you play the
themselves.
Horn, you trash it. For the second play, the Horn isn't in play, so you actually need to play a Horn.
Yeah,
To
so he needs.
maximize province gains, you need to play a Horn for like a Horn before you.
Oh, except no, he's totally fine.
No, no,
He
no,
only
no, no.
needs 3 provinces.
Right, right. So
So
he only needs 3, so he can just counterfeit the Horn. Well, I guess he should go copper, 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 silver, counterfeit, Horn, province, duchy, counterfeit, Horn,
yeah,
province, duchy, counterfeit, and then just Horn, duchy. Okay,
yeah,
no. So he can do it. Yeah.
yeah, and he replaced a silver into a duchy, which is probably a little more efficient than what I was considering.
So he goes counterfeit, counterfeit, which is fine. Yeah. Silver into duchy. Yep.
Yeah, so DG's play on the last turn was kind of halfway between the things we were talking about, which was going all out and getting 6
Mm-hmm.
provinces and just buying another gain so that he can gain them all this next turn. And it
Yeah,
was,
five provinces. Like I think 6 would probably be the minimum, just because of this sort of line.
yeah, 5 is a little too easy to overcome, especially when Mick already had a duchy.
And so Mick is able to just squeak it out by 5 points.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the series. DG takes down season 18 with a 4-2 win in the championship match. Great casting with you, Deadlock. Do you want to put in a plug for a stream, so if people come and they want to play in season 19 or season 20, how they get involved?
Sure, yeah, the Dominion League is starting now. I think signups are probably closed, but we sometimes have some extra spots that are open into the beginning of the season. We will see and post about that if we do. If you don't play this season, you can look forward to season 20. Our seasons are 5 weeks long, so um, if they sign up right now, Assemble Me says we might fit them in. We are going to be setting up the groups right after this, which means right now.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the Dominion League, we place new players based on their rating on the isotropic leaderboard, which is a true skill implementation. So we try to get you matched up against players that you're even match with, and then winning your divisions will move you up, and coming in lower places moves you down. It's kind of like
Mm-hmm.
a big bracket that shifts around as players play in their divisions. So
Yeah, and so are there any restrictions on who can play? Like if someone who just picked up Dominion a couple weeks ago wants to play in the league, can they?
absolutely. We have our E division, which is specifically for beginner players. All the players there are new to Dominion, and we have that league to try it out. And if you win that one, we move you on up into the other groups, and it's a good place to learn competitive Dominion and get better at the game.
All right. Well, I'd also like to thank everyone for coming out and watching the stream. We had pretty good turnout for this stream, and we also had a bunch of people spectating the game on the new client, which is exciting. I think that's all for me today. So thank you for coming out, everyone.
Yeah. Thanks for casting with me, Dan.
Yeah, glad to. thanks for casting as well, Deathlock. It was great to have you.
All right. We will see you guys next time. All right.
All right.